Pokémon, Pokémon, Pokémon. Let's do it.
I wanna be the very best that no one ever was. To catch them is my real test. Train them is my cause. Born to be a winner, born to be fair. Oh, come on, and won't be. Oh, Pokemon! Holy shit. Alright, let's get started with this fucking shit. Guys, this is a triumph. It's truly once in a lifetime that we get a game like this. To take an old beloved classic and transform it, dare I say, evolve it, for a new generation takes guts and a level of ingenuity that you simply don't see from too many companies these days. The evolution of Pokemon from a 2D, top-down, stop-and-go, turn-based RPG to a sprawling, beautiful sandbox action RPG is truly incredible and awe-inspiring. And the fact that Nintendo had the balls to entrust this beloved IP to a small indie studio, Gamfreik? Sounds Norwegian? Who had never worked on a AAA budget before, is really bold in an age where the Ubisofts and Bethesdas of the world churn out empty, repetitive, broken open worlds with little effort and even less innovation. It's a little buggy, sure, and not the most technically polished, but to see this small, no-name studio step up to the plate and really hit it out of the park like this is a remarkable... Oh, wait. Fuck. I give up. It seems my entire channel is predicated on finding a series I deeply love, watching a new installment come out, and voicing my thorough disdain of that installment despite heaping praise coming from virtually all directions, making me feel like a total madman. I remember feeling vindicated when I saw Nakey Jakey's video on The Last of Us Part 2 come out after my video on it, and he mentioned a lot of the same points. Or when I watched Radical Soda's Sword and Shield review, and even he noticed the fucking dead pixel on the loading screen, and it's still fucking there. Look, this game's not god-awful. It is, in actuality, one of the best, most ambitious Pokemon games of recent memory. But I feel like that reality is hyperinflating people's evaluations of it. Donkey's video disappointed me, not because he liked the game I didn't like as much, that's fine, but because it showed just how little Game Freak has to try to get massive amounts of praise. Pokemon is one of the most profitable intellectual properties of all time, and Game Freak has been making games for decades. So why does the game look this bad? It's actually hideous at times. Horse Palkia legitimately, unironically, made me feel queasy when I first saw it in game. So much of what's good about this game is held up by nostalgia. It's trying so hard to be Breath of the Wild to the point where even the male characters grunting and sighing sounds like Link. And so many of the sound effects sound ripped straight out of Cataclysmic Hyrule. And like, the game wasn't finished. It wasn't. That's an obvious fact. The fog effect at the edges of the map is blinding and awful. The Pokemon AI straight up breaks constantly. The lighting in caves creates this awful looking outline and completely deletes certain textures. Oh wait, it's my armor too. Oh, what happened? Is it just the lighting? Why is the lighting so bad in this one area that all the armor looks... I'm getting all the worst glitches. This one is impossible to miss if you played through the entire story, even once, by the way. Some portions of caves, like this one here in the Coronet Highlands, haven't even been put together properly. Like, there are literal holes you can peek through. What else? If you look upward while facing the reflection in the water surface, you can see the wireframe of the landscape. Like, I don't even know how that happens. Pokemon just straight up popping out of place or disappearing into nothingness in an open world game? And to be clear, that issue is different than the rampant pop-in issues throughout the game. Catching Pokemon in water is patently unfair. Terribly low quality textures, no ability to jump from map to map without going to the hub first, downright antagonistic inventory management design, no updates to the PC system, which hasn't changed in decades it seems, no meaningful way to interact with Pokemon. This is all just off the top of my head too. Some of this I'll go into more detail about as I recount the quote-unquote story, but there's also the problem of the general tone of this game. This game is a soul-crushing grind from start to finish. The entire gameplay loop is just catch, battle, catch, battle, catch, battle, catch, battle, in a way that feels so much more demoralizing when you realize that the story sucks, and the reason you're catching Pokemon is not because you want to, it's because it's the only way to level up your rank. It's the only meaningful way to interact with this game. What's more, and probably the most important disappointment for me in this game, is how now that the Pokemon themselves have arguably more physical presence than ever before in the history of Pokemon, the Pokemon now feel more insignificant than ever. There are so many named characters in the story of this game, all centered around one measly hub world and 3 satellite villages which don't matter. And damn near the entirety of the emotional and narrative weight of the story is centered around these boring, do-nothing, feeble-minded, no-character arc-looking ass people. The end result is that we get a game that thinks it's cleverer than it is, thinks it's funnier than it is, thinks it's grander than it is, and I'm just about sick of all the fucking excuses we as a species keep giving for this fucking company. It's time to cut Game Freak down to size. Alright, I want to make this quick, so 30-second timer starting now. I really want to support my art as much as possible, meaning this channel, the music I create, the stories I write, etc., etc. So I need to grow my online presence. If you guys want to help me with that, I would very much appreciate it. The easiest way to do it is to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share this video, and watch my other videos. And if you would like to support me monetarily, I have a Ko-Fi link in the description where you can donate as little as $1. It would really go a long way to keeping me motivated and helping me support myself. Thanks a lot. Nailed it! Nailed it! Fuck yeah! When I watched the second trailer for Arceus, and yes, I will continue to call it Arceus because that's how it's fucking spelled. Anyway, when I watched the second trailer, I was pleasantly surprised, but also confused. They showed 2 disparate battle systems, one where you're running around as the Pokemon trainer, dodging monsters' attacks in real time, and another system which is more akin to the turn-based battle system we remember from older titles. I wondered to myself, how will Game Freak marry these 2 systems in a way that feels seamless and helps them build upon one another? They didn't. And that's the answer to a lot of the design problems present in this piece of piece of game. So basically, the most amount of interplay these 2 systems have are in the boss fights against the frenzied lords. The crux of those battles is throwing a bunch of food at the lords until they calm the fuck down. When a lord gets tired, you can throw out a Pokemon to battle it, KO it, and you deal a little more damage with the food in the real-time battle. But those 2 systems are incredibly divorced from one another. You can get through the frenzied lord fights without throwing your Pokemon at all, and honestly, the boss battles, which are easily some of the best parts of Arceus, were way more fun for me when I didn't throw Pokemon out at all. The pacing of these high-stakes battles grinds to a fucking halt when the turn-based stuff begins. And that's not a dig at turn-based battles. I like turn-based battles when they're made well. Persona 5 Royal is one of my favorite games ever. And this battle system is like, well, it's fine enough, but to go from the really fun, high-octane chaos of these boss battles to the stop-and-go lull of the turn-based battle system feels wrong somehow, like they didn't bother thinking of how the 2 systems fit together. Why does the boss just stop attacking me? And why is it calmly taking its turn now? And why does defeating it in battle not knock it out outright like it does with all the other Pokemon? There's some level of suspension of disbelief necessary, sure, but the game really isn't doing anything to earn that. It's taking two disparate systems, each with its own underlying language and rhythm, and gluing them together without taking the time or effort to meld them in a seamless way. This can be felt in the overworld as well. You're prancing around the wilderness to the tune of Simple and Clean from Kingdom Hearts, and you run into a fucking Paris. That shit will go hyper aggro until you're dead and buried. But easily, the best way to dodge any attack from any Pokemon is just to throw another Pokemon at it. Suddenly, the player character goes invincible as the game transitions to the slower-based, turn-based battle system. This isn't a glitch or an exploit, but in a design sense, the two systems simply do not complement one another. In some cases, the two systems entirely replace each other. For instance, the best and fastest way to level up and make money, especially in the late game, is to just chuck a bunch of mud at the Pokemon and throw a ball from behind them. There's no need to battle them. And, in my experience, this seems to get you the best catch rate. I'm going to need to talk about this more later because the philosophical implications of this are, troublesome. But battles truly are one of the weakest links of the game for me. The battles have been changed in some significant ways from previous games. The most significant change is the Final Fantasy X style order list, which lets you know which Pokemon will be moving next, and also means that there are times when Pokemon can move multiple times in a row. I like this change. It's a good change. But it's very insular and not transferable to Pokemon at large, I don't think, especially if battles are to remain competitive. And the annoying thing is that unlike Persona 5 or Final Fantasy X, there's no way to really game the turn-based system in an interesting way. You can use strong style or agile style moves, which strengthen moves or speeds you up respectively, and these moves may, emphasis on may, change the battle order in some really esoteric way, like use 2 agile moves and you'll get an extra turn, like 4 turns later for some reason. Agile and strong style moves take 2 PP as opposed to 1 PP to use, but beyond that there's no way to use a turn to defend. As far as I saw, there aren't moves like agility or moves you can use to decrease the opponent's speed. And while you can fight more than one Pokemon at a time, you can't throw out more than one Pokemon at a time. So there's no real interplay or strategy you have with your moves, besides deciding, do I want to do more damage at the cost of a turn, or do I want to do less damage and roll for the chance of getting an extra turn in some distant, unforeseen future? I don't think these changes have much staying power. They just don't seem to fit in with the Pokemon world outside of this specific game. And that's fine. What I hate is that, again, they seem to have not put that much thought in anything outside of these systems or to how the systems can be expanded. For instance, why can you move around during battles? At best, it's pointless. At worst, it's distracting. Also, why are you in the middle of the field, you asshole? Yeah, move over. Move over, you dick. Move over. Move over. Yeah, move. Oh, excuse me? Excuse me? You hit me? Your Pokemon just hit me. You're disqualified. You're disqualified. Your Pokemon just hit me. You can get hit by moves which come near you, and normally I would applaud that level of attention to detail, but really, that detail is evidence of the lack of thought placed elsewhere. When you get hit by fire or electric attacks, you do the same generic stumble as if you got hit by tackle or fucking hyper beam. And you can't take damage during battle for some reason, unless, I discovered, you drown in some nearby water. But you can't tell how much damage you've taken, even in that case, because you're in battle. And the stumble effect is based on proximity to attacks, so if the player character can get hit when in the way of certain animations, how come there are no AoE attacks? You get swarmed all the damn time in this game, which again is cool, but ends up being frustrating because of the lack of tools to interact differently with the battles against multiple opponents. Even if I use Earth Power and 2 Pokemon are standing directly next to each other, only the one I'm targeting will be hit, which honestly is just lazy. It doesn't make any fucking sense. And because of the way speed is calculated, using agile moves against multiple opponents is damn near useless, unless you're trying to catch them to do less damage, because almost every time you'll just end up getting barraged. You getting one attack to get some breathing room, then all the enemies getting to gangbang you in sequence. It's not fun or interesting. And also, how come I suddenly don't have to aim my Pokeball? These battles are supposed to represent the height of power and brilliance of the Pokemon in them, yet I can just meander around totally irrespective of and invincible to the battle in progress, and I'm so unthreatened by the battle that I no longer have to aim my Pokeball. It just feels completely disconnected from what I'm supposed to be experiencing. Absolutely nothing highlights this disconnection more than the research tasks.
Kill confirmed. Kill confirmed.
As the main gameplay loop of the game, you're tasked with observing Pokemon out in the world to learn as much as you can about them and fill their Pokédex entry. This loop is utter bullshit. From top to bottom, I fucking hate its implementation in this game. In concept, it's cool. Observe Pokemon in their natural habitats, witness them using incredible moves or interacting with their environment so you can fill a compendium detailing all there is to know about these incredible creatures. In practice, filling the Pokédex is a worthless time sink designed to pad out the open world and give the player the illusion of progression and growth. It's pointless, utterly fucking pointless. And it also emphasizes the disconnect between the only two modes of interacting with Pokemon in this game, the open world exploration and the turn-based battling. Specifically, let's say you stumble across an Alpha Rapidash in the wild. That Rapidash may use Fire Blast to attack you as you approach it, but that's not a real Fire Blast. Or at least it's not one according to the Pokédex. Because witnessing Rapidash use Fire Blast in the open world doesn't count as seeing it use the ability. Same goes for feeding Pokemon. Some of these inane research tasks are things like feed X Pokemon 5, 10, or 20 times. First of all, and I have to extrapolate on this later, how the fuck does feeding a Pokemon the same berry over and over again teach me anything new about it? It's not like there's some special animation where it gets a stomach ache or something. It's just insipid filler. Second of all, if I've caught the Pokemon and feed it using a berry in the in-game menus, that also doesn't count as having seen it eat food. That also calls attention to the fact that there's no way to interact with Pokemon in the open world, but that's a whole other can of worms that I'll be opening later. Take these kinds of research tasks. Defeat X Pokemon with a Y-type move. If you throw out a Pokemon with this task and your Pokemon gets defeated by that kind of move, it doesn't count. No, you specifically have to see a Pokemon you don't own get defeated by that kind of move for it to count. It's this dumb, gamey, unintuitive bullshit that stands at the core of the gameplay experience. It's outdated and it's completely antithetical to open world design. Open world games are supposed to fill the gaps of the illusion. Let players see what would otherwise be implied in other genres. But Game Freak has not even bothered to tackle that illusion in a thoughtful or interesting way. The worst thing for me is that the Pokédex fails to be a useful tool for actually learning anything interesting about the Pokémon. At best, it's just as good as it always has been in every other game. You can see the Pokémon and learn where to find them. But in a game where you're supposed to be researching and documenting Pokémon for the world to learn what they are, it is downright cynical that they have not made any efforts to modernize the Pokédex and create a real, meaningful bestiary. In the Pokédex, there's no way to see a list of all the moves they can learn, there's no way to see natural enemies akin to Seviper and Zangoose, and the most baffling is that the Pokédex doesn't detail how to evolve Pokémon. You can complete the dex and it still doesn't show you this critical, meaningful information about the Pokémon. For Stantler to evolve, it needs to use a specific move 20 times. For Ursaring to evolve, it needs to be given a specific rock under a full moon. For Basculin to evolve, it needs to take a certain amount of recoil damage without fainting. These are cool concepts, but the Pokédex doesn't tell you how to do this. You know that thing you spend hours filling out that's designed to be a one-stop shop for everything there is to know about a Pokemon? Yeah, it doesn't tell you how to perform these incredibly specific evolutions, or any for that matter. This is fucking... Look how bad this looks. This looks so bad. Oh my god. Oh my god, this is the worst. This looks so shitty. The research tasks are supposed to be a representation of everything your character is learning about Pokemon and the world by proxy. But on both the micro and macro level, the Pokédex fails at selling that representation. It fails at fulfilling the illusion. I don't feel like a Pokemon researcher. I don't even feel like a trainer most of the time. I feel like a poacher, going around ripping Pokemon from their homes and families, and oftentimes selling them off to work tirelessly for the organization back in Jubilife City, or to act as my shield in battle. When they aren't doing that, they waste away in the Jubilife pastures where I can see some of them, but I'm unable to interact with them in any way whatsoever. In fact, you can't interact with any of your Pokemon meaningfully. All 6 of them, like, around in a circle with you. And it would be hella fucking cool if they followed you. That would be so cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. And they just stand there. And then you can, like, speak to them. You can speak to them. Wait, speak to them. But they don't follow you. Look at this. They just stand there. What are you doing? Why are you just standing there? Come here. But yeah, go back in your Pokeballs. Go back in your Pokeballs. I had to evolve an Eevee to an Umbreon, which required me to get Eevee's affection and friendship level up to a certain point at nighttime. For the life of me, I can't begin to figure out how I was intended to do this. So, if it works anything like the old Pokemon games, you raise Pokemon's affection when they level up. So that's what I'm counting on. All right, Eevee, eat all these goddamn candies right now, you little bitch. That's so many levels. You must love me so hard right now. Yeah, you know, you gotta force feed the game. I'm just playing the game how it's telling me to play it. You know what I mean? You can throw your Pokemon out of the ball and they will stand there until they eventually fall asleep. You can press A to speak with them, and that's about it. If you throw 2 Pokemon next to each other, they'll yell at each other in some inscrutable and meaningless way. Like, come the fuck on. Even Sword and Shield had better interaction than this. I could make food for my Pokemon around a campfire and watch their faces light up as I fed them and played with them. In Sun and Moon, I could even tickle my Machoke in a special place. Oh my. But like in this shit, there's nothing. Your Pokemon won't even eat berries in the overworld after you've caught them. They don't even follow you as you travel around the fucking map. This is bullshit. How does this happen? How does this fucking happen? How do you take one of the coolest parts of Pokemon Let's Go, Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield, and botch them so hard? One of my chatters on stream described the Pokemon as tools, and yes, that's exactly what it is. The Pokemon have no agency or personality. Despite being thrown into a 3D environment, they are more 2D than ever. All they have to do is react when you throw them at things, which makes them no better than a portable HM dispenser. There is still no meaningful interaction between Pokemon and their environment, and someone in the comments is going to get pissy with me for this one.
What do you mean? Burmy jumps out of trees. Geodude jumps out of rock formations. Pokemon will swim in water.
How often is it that you see an Apom climb a tree to pick some fruit? How often is it that you see a Pokemon bathing or playing in water? Do Pokemon play or wrestle with other Pokemon? Do they engage in battle or hiss and posture when a rival Pokemon strays too close? Do Pokemon create dens or nests where they flee to when it's dark or rainy? Never, never, no, no, no. These Pokemon are not intelligent. They meander around doing absolutely nothing until you interact with them. They are glued to their specific 5-yard wide locations and perform the same 2 or 3 actions until you approach them. They don't look for food on their own. They don't look for shelter on their own. The most they do is sleep. When you approach them, they'll either stand still, attack you, or run away. You throw a berry, they go to eat the berry. Unless, of course, the berry is too close to a wall or an edge, then their pathfinding gets all fucked up. Or, if they're anything like this Curlia, their pathfinding and walking animation will get fucked up no matter what. If you think this is good, convincing design, play Red Dead 2. Play Horizon Forbidden West. Play Monster Hunter. Play Elden fucking Ring. Watch how the creatures in those games actually feel like they belong in their environments. Watch how those creatures in those games actually reactively respond to their environments beyond just the same 2 or 3 animations. Even the human NPCs are bare bones. There are no travelers in the open world. No one moving from one place to another. No one battling Pokemon or needing you to come and rescue them. Even in Jubilife, no one has a walk cycle. Everyone just stands in one designated place until the time of day changes. Guys, you have to understand, this isn't Majora's Mask where the citizenry of Clocktown has specific schedules and routines and they move around and do things in this living, breathing... Wait a minute. Does time not pass in the hub world? Holy shit. Time doesn't even pass in Jubilife Village. What the fuck? Did they do this just so that they didn't have to animate people going in and out of their homes? I can't... Wow, I'm astonished. Holy shit. When the time of day changes, Pokemon disappear. And very often, Pokemon will spawn or stream in directly in front of you or next to you. When Pokemon run away in this game from the turn-based battling, they also just disappear. Poof! Gone into thin air. That's not how open world games work. They should scurry off up a tree or into a den, not just vanish like a fucking magic show. I'm not even talking about the psychic Pokemon here. All of them do this. Bird Pokemon at least have an animation of them taking off, but then you don't see them in the sky. They're just gone. Oh, also, some Pokemon fly through the air on incredibly strict paths and will never ever touch down to roost. I haven't seen Pokemon herd together or flock together or migrate or roost or gather food or posture in fear. And no, I'm not including the fucking update because I wrote this before the update came out, so fuck you. The most they will do is fall asleep, attack you, eat a berry, or run away. These are not living, breathing creatures. These are meaningless clusters of programming that I can project my own wants and fantasies onto. This point is probably the most personal, but the world just doesn't feel good. There's a distinct lack of majesty with this world. The world feels so small, and I don't mean by square footage. There's no grandeur, there's very little mystery, and almost no intrigue. Hardly anything feels important in the open world. It feels like it revolves almost entirely around the player character. Admittedly, a great deal of this feeling is about presentation, how the world chooses to immerse you within it. Pokemon just doesn't do a good job. I've already spoken about NPC behaviors, but beyond that, the game is just so fucking ugly. The landscapes don't look impressive, and the draw distance is awful to the point where it can actually hinder gameplay. So there's very little in the way of visual intrigue, which makes me want to go out and explore a place, or that makes me feel like the world is living and breathing around me, and I'm just a small part of it. The low-hanging fruit that makes any player want to interact with this world is, of course, the Pokemon. But because of their shallow implementation and the overall predictability of the loop, I don't get a sense of awe like I do when I traipse around other open worlds. At most, I'm like, oh wow, I recognize that Pokemon, and then the excitement immediately wears off. And there are just baffling design choices that make wanting to explore this open world a chore as well. For some reason, when you're on foot, there's a limit to how much you can sprint. In every single way, this game's gotta be Breath of the Wild, but worse. There's no gauge telling you how much sprint you have left, and, well, why the fuck is there a sprint limit at all? I already mentioned you can avoid being attacked just by initiating turn-based battle, and Pokemon don't follow you outside of a very strict area of engagement. Besides, when you get Weirdeer as a ride Pokemon, it doesn't have a sprint limit, so what the fuck? There's no dodge roll limit. It's almost like they did it out of sheer obligation. Remember Pokemon Sword and Shield? How there was an insufferable cooldown for boosting on your bike? It's the same thing here. Horizon Forbidden West, Metal Gear Solid 5, hell, even Elden Ring lets you sprint forever when you're not in battle. It's like they didn't even bother considering that the unnecessary sprint limit would hurt the game while adding nothing of value. Also, there's not even a scope or binoculars. No way of seeing distant things better, or getting a clearer look at Pokemon who might be, really fucking tiny. How do you have an open world without a zoom in function? There's lock on, but you legit have to be like 12 meters away from a Pokemon to use it. Meaning, you'll usually have to be creeping dangerously close to a Pokemon just to check what remaining research tasks you have for any given one. Also, having to throw out your Pokemon to make it do anything is dumb, and there will be so many times when your Pokemon targets the wrong thing, like breaking a rock, instead of initiating a battle like you wanted it to. If you throw it in the wrong spot and it just stands there, the only way to make the Pokemon do the thing you want it to do is to return it back to its Pokeball and throw it out again. It's inane, and it shows a clear lack of thought for how to best navigate and interact with this open world. Game Freak is applying game techniques from decades ago to a game genre which necessitates a new, modernized approach. The quest design, too, is incredibly linear and leaves little to no room for improvisation or exploration. Most of it revolves around fetch quests anyway, or just like, fill the Pokedex entry for Lopunny so I can fulfill my sexual fantasies or whatever. Maybe that's just me. But this quest pissed me off. In order to make a new base camp in the coastlands, you first need to find the core member who is somewhere in the area. This game is set up so that you need to run into the woman first to speak to her again before you can find her partner. Sounds innocuous enough until you realize the guy never even fucking spawns until you speak to the woman the second time. So you speak to her the first time and she's like, man, I really need to find my partner. Then I beeline it for the area because I know this quest. This is my second playthrough. I know where he's going to be, but he wasn't there. I was confused. I'm pretty sure I saw him here. It's a pretty distinct area. No, you need to speak to her again before he appears at all. That's not how open world games should work. At least keep up the illusion. It's outdated, uninspired design that has become a staple of the Pokemon franchise up to this point. They made the big open world and practically stopped there, hardly thinking any further on how to solve problems that come from it. So when I see the two disparate battle systems, I'm less inclined to view this as a step forward for Pokemon and more as a thoughtless stitch-up of ideas from various other games in a way that is hardly cohesive and is utterly irreverent toward everything the genre has managed to achieve. This game is trying to ape Breath of the Wild hard. The UI, the sound, even the male characters grunting sounds like it was ripped directly from Breath of the Wild. But you can't ape Breath of the Wild without taking into account the fundamental leaps in game design, technical proficiency, and world building that Breath of the Wild took. And even Breath of the Wild couldn't get it totally right. Breath of the Wild also had a lot of kinks to iron out. So I'll recycle my joke from the beginning of this video. If this were a game from some indie studio, I'd be much happier with it, and more willing to forgive its lazy world design, embarrassing technical state, and tedious gameplay loop. However, it's not a game from an indie studio. This is a game from Game Freak, a company that's been around since before I was born. There is absolutely no excuse for this bullshit. And of course, as I'm writing this, they announced Pokémon Scarlet and Velvet, a return to the predatory one game for twice the cost model as we've gotten used to. But beyond that, they announced the games for release later this year. Arceus, this big open world extravaganza, just came out. You can't tell me they're not rushing this shit. You can see frame rate dips in the fucking trailer. Again! I'm honestly torn between deciding that this game is an unfinished cash cow designed to do the bare minimum in order to pretend at evolving the Pokemon experience for a modern age, or deciding that this game is an honest attempt to breathe new life into a staling formula despite the genuine lack of experience, knowledge, and talent among truly passionate people. But this fucking announcement is definitely swaying me more toward the former than the latter. Let's just do the fucking story. Hey viewer, thanks for making it this far. I appreciate you. Just wanted to say again that if you enjoyed the video and like what I'm doing over here, you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, maybe share it around to a few people, some loved ones, some friends, some enemies even. It would go a long way to helping the channel grow and getting it pushed out to some more people. Also, if you want to support me monetarily, the link to my Ko-Fi page is in the description below. Thanks a bunch. Alright, 3, 2, 1. Let's do it. I wanna be... Okay, we already did that joke. Ludonarrative dissonance, my favorite term. It's never, ever, 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 ever mattered in a Pokemon game for me. Until now, that is, this very moment. And that's because we finally get to see Pokemon in full 3D. They're no longer just static, happy-go-lucky representations of these fantastic creatures. Now they're large, imposing figures that take up space in the world around them. It's like adapting a stage play to film. I'm less willing to suspend my disbelief because this new medium has far greater tools to sell the illusion. So when you have Pokemon disappearing into thin air, or bosses who stop all their rampaging to engage in turn-based combat, or a Pokedex and research tasks that don't meaningfully translate into a greater care for or understanding of the world, it's a lot more frustrating here than any time else. I've already spoken about it, but that last one's going to become a big sticking point as we progress throughout the story. But first, let's begin at the beginning.
Open your eyes. Wake up, Link.
They still haven't updated the fucking character creator. I mean, holy shit. Even calling it a character creator is being generous. How many games? How many games has it been and we still have the same generic choices for hair and skin color to start the game with? You don't even unlock the color red to style your hair until you get many, many hours into the game. No other character creator does this. Just let us choose any style and let us update our look at the salon throughout the game. Oh, and you still need to pay the hairstylist before you can even see the selection that's available, meaning you lose money even if you don't end up changing your hair. At my most cynical, I'd say they have the system set up this way in order to mask the fact that there aren't really that many options for customization. But I'm getting way ahead of myself. The game starts off with this mystical directive from God itself, Arceus, who asks you to seek out all Pokemon. He replaces your boring old iPhone with a much more fashionable and not at all bulky Arc phone, which he uses to call you about some dumb shit. Hello? Oh.
Hi, Arceus.
So, you seek out all Pokemon yet? No, I kinda just started my adventure.
Oh? How's that going?
Well, everyone's kinda inconsistent and backstabby, a little xenophobic too.
Oh, that's... Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, it's just whatever, you know. Hey, you haven't been talking
What?
Because if you are, I'll fucking kill him.
Okay, Arceus, I think you should go. Are you drunk again? So yeah, this directive from Arceus is the main hook of the game. Except it's not. You don't even resolve this plot hook until well after you've beaten the main storyline, after the credits roll. And let's just say the resolution is underwhelming. But anyway, yeah, Seek Out All Pokemon is Arceus' push for you to explore the wide world of Pokemon. The character you play as is from modern times, but is spirited away through a space-time rift into, I don't know, Edo-era Japan? Someone's gonna give me shit for getting this one wrong. I don't know history, I'm sorry. Anyway, the main character lands in the Hisui region, where the citizenry is sparse, the wilderness is vast, and the pop-in is rampant. You're greeted by the Professor, Professor Laventon. Wow, I really did just forget the professor's name for a bit there. That's telling. He's legitimately, definitely, probably the worst professor. I'd be a lot more adamant about that if I could remember any of the old professor's personalities. Old, fat, metrosexual, hot. This guy sucks. He apparently invented the Pokeball, or at least modified it to work as well as they do. I won't get into how these Pokeballs work just as well, if not better than modern Pokeballs. But this guy is so fucking bad at his job that despite inventing it, he needs a 15-year-old to actually go out and catch all the Pokemon. This is a running theme in the game, but I'm going to have to come back to it in a bit. It'll be more relevant once we understand the main character's role in the story. Laventon's first impression is kinda embarrassing. He's a Pokemon professor who apparently knows nothing about them, and he invented the Pokeball but sucks at catching Pokemon. Apparently also Pokemon he's already caught, or he's tamed them without catching them. I don't know what the fuck is going on here. This marks the beginning of the longest tutorial in video game history. You catch 3 starters when they're not fucking teleporting out of the way of your throws. What the fuck was that? Then, when you got all 3, Professor L explains that he's creating a record of all existing Pokemon called the Pokédex, and he would like your help filling it by catching every Pokemon. After being forced to agree to help him, you head to Jubilife Village. Without a doubt, one of the coolest aspects about this game is the attention to detail crafted into the music. This game is based off of the world of Diamond and Pearl, so it shares a significant amount of musical themes and leitmotifs from the original Diamond and Pearl soundtrack. The music in this game is very good and very powerful, and unlike the Pokemon themselves, or like the characters, or the entire Diamond and Pearl remakes, it doesn't feel like nostalgia bait. Part of that, and part of the reason the music goes so hard, is because you're not expecting it. The themes really do come from nowhere, when you're least expecting them, and they play with these themes while showing a deep faithfulness to the source material. As I was writing the script, I was listening to some of the music, and the beauty of the music is truly betrayed by the quality of the game. It's kind of a shame. I even noticed a lot more East Asian influence in the instrumentation that didn't come across to me in my playthroughs. A ton of care went into the soundtrack. The composer is Go Ichinose, who also composed the music for the mainline Pokemon games, including Diamond and Pearl, along with Junichi Masuda. So it makes sense that the music would retain a lot of the emotional weight and significance the original soundtracks held. And the way the music is implemented cannot be ignored either. It flows fairly seamlessly from one situation to another, even changing instrumentation as the player enters menus. As a result, the music holds a great deal of gravity and presence within the game world, more than even the Pokemon do, weirdly. Starting the game, I turned up Pokemon cries thinking it would help me know when a specific Pokemon was nearby. It didn't. Not really, anyway. The most help it offers is when an alpha Pokemon is near you. But this is all me saying that it would have been a much nicer experience if I turned the music up during both my playthroughs, because that shit goes hard, my dude. Professor L and many others throughout the game constantly remark that the player character is special because the player character is distinctly not afraid of Pokemon. This is bullshit. You see, the game wants to present this scenario as some sort of origin story for how the society begins to shape itself around Pokemon. But as with the open world, there's very little care or thought put into how a society like this would function. This game wants to be heavier, taken a little more seriously, but still treats its generally child audience as though they're incapable of understanding any deeper, more difficult motivations or societal structures. Kids are a lot smarter and a lot better at understanding deeper conflicts than we give them credit for. And it doesn't make sense to, on the one hand, treat kids as if they're too stupid to understand deep conflict, and on the other hand, have this much fucking pointless, boring dialogue in your story. Essentially, you'll have little snapshots here and there, little vignettes of people who are quote-unquote terrified of some nearby Pokemon. But on the whole, the society doesn't operate much differently from any of the modern Pokemon games we've come to know and tolerate. People tame Pokemon, take advantage of them for free labor, they battle with them right in the middle of town, they upkeep a Pokemon pasture. This idea that society hasn't already accepted and grown accustomed to Pokemon is total poppycock. Utter, absolute poppycock. Even when an individual person is afraid of a Pokemon, they almost always get over it immediately, like within moments, even when they don't know what that Pokemon is, or even when the Pokemon is wild or untamed. And I say almost always because I have not and will not complete all these fucking fetch quests. I've played through the game 2 times. I've sought out all the fucking Pokemon, but I refuse. They're all stupid, they're all boring, and they don't even really help you level up. And I feel 100% confident in my evaluation of them as stupid and tedious. So no, this world is not really afraid of Pokemon. Functionally, it operates exactly like the worlds of all the other games. The main distinction is the lack of active trainers walking around the wilderness. But Pokemon Sword and Shield also didn't have trainers roaming the wilderness. So, like, is this a world-building choice or a design flaw? I mean, fuck, you actually do meet some trainers randomly in the open world. These 3 bandits who appear in the story and randomly in the open world. It's the closest you get to locking eyes with a trainer and engaging in battle. But it also shows that this idea that there aren't trainers in this world is untrue on its face. When you get to Jubilife, everyone's kind of, you know,
The wallflowers for Galaxy Team Folk only. We don't have seats for outsiders. Move along.
and there's a gigantic glowing anus glaring at you from the distance in every establishing shot. Though honestly, for first impressions, there's a lot going on, and despite the shitty frame rate, it feels like this might just be a bustling and vivid world. It's not, but the illusion holds somewhat strong in this initial moment. You meet your, rival? Not really your rival, kind of a functionally useless character who wastes seconds upon seconds with their pointless dialogue in an already thoroughly bloated game. If you're a boy, you get Akari. If you're a girl, you get Ray. You also meet Silene, who's a total hard-ass, but also ended up being kind of one of my favorite characters, sort of. Like, her personality or choices aren't anything incredible, but I recall her quite fondly for some reason. I think it's just the default is so here that she was like here, you know? She's captain of the Galaxy Team's Survey Corps. Essentially, Galaxy Team is a sort of martial authority in the region, and it has several teams, all of them useless, which exist to instill stability in the region. Silene heads the Survey Corps, whose role is to study Pokemon in the region and learn as much about them as possible. Laventon works under her. She starts getting all ultra-capitalist on you, like you're effectively a refugee and an emancipated minor. But she's all like, well, you've got to earn your keep or we'll let you starve and die. Like, what the fuck? And Laventon's totally down for it too. You two fucking suck. This is jumping ahead a bit, but this organization pays you pennies for your labor as well. Like, you get paid based on how many research tasks you complete, but you also need to pay for your own supplies, and so even after you end up saving the fucking world or whatever, you'd still end up trying to scrounge together what little money you have just so you can continue doing your exploitative-ass job. Okay, let's slow down. So you head to the local restaurant, the Wallflower, which closes out every major chapter of the game. It's a cute little scene, which reminds me a bit of the team meetings in Persona 5. Without the charm, or the style, or the voice acting, or the good writing, or the lovable character. Laventon straight up admits that they haven't been able to begin their Pokemon research because they all suck at catching Pokemon. The research is like the whole thing the Survey Corps is supposed to do. So the legitimacy of this entire wing of the organization rests specifically on your shoulders. It's not even like you're some kind of chosen one. I mean, you are, which is why you get the special Arceus pager. But beyond that, like, Arceus didn't make you good at throwing Pokeballs or, like, give you better odds at catching Pokemon. This whole plot setup is so fucking stupid. There are some neat details here and there. It's these small details that make it difficult for me to outright slam on this game. Like, some amount of heart went into this. But I truly don't know whether the corporate greed won out, or if the team simply lacked the experience or talent to bring this to life. Like here in your home, your character will remove their shoes as they walk on the floorboards, but there's like no animation for them kicking off their sandals or anything. Death Stranding spoiled me with the psychotic amount of attention to detail and animations throughout the game. So when I see a character's sandals come off, I'm like, cool, but I would have liked just a little extra, you know? Oh, I do have shoes. I just have to take them off when I'm inside the building. That's a cool detail. That's a really cool detail. I mean, I wish there was an animation for that where you can see him taking off his shoes. Oh, but come on, Pokemon. You were so close. You were so close. They just disappear. And you don't see them lying around. I like having a home you can keep returning to throughout the game. Unfortunately, this isn't that. You can return to it, but there's like no reason to, like ever. You can't decorate it, and there's nothing you can do inside your home aside from sleeping that you can't do, and more conveniently, right outside your door. The most you get to do that I found is unlock some things that show up inside it. By unlock, I mean buy. Specifically, there are these anachronistic items like an electric fan, a fridge, and a washing machine. These are all to change Rotom's forms, and you can only do it inside the house. But beyond that, I rarely ever go in there. I don't even fucking like Rotom's forms. As I mentioned, the only thing you can do in there that you can't do right outside the door is sleep to pass the time in order to do certain side quests. But fuck the side quests. So Silene, despite no one but you being able to catch Pokemon consistently, sends you out to catch Bidoof, Starly, and Shinx all at once. I know no one else has been able to do it, but I'm going to pressure you all in this anyway, and if you fail, you die. Good luck! You then get to choose your starter Pokemon, and during my first playthrough, I didn't even realize that I hadn't chosen my first Pokemon yet. The three starters are Cyndaquil, Rowlet, and Oshawott, all from previous Pokemon games, but each of them having a new form to fit with this new region. The meme surrounding Typhlosion is that it looks high as fuck. Decidueye just seems wrong somehow, and I don't know, Samurott doesn't even really look all that different. I mean, it was already designed to look like a samurai, so all they did was make it a little darker, to be a dark type. I would still much rather Samurott be a water and fighting type samurai, but you know, whatever. Here's my question, why have starting Pokemon at all? This isn't like the other Pokemon games where if you don't have anything, it defaults to Missing No or some other glitched Pokemon. This is the first game, I think, where you can be directly targeted and attacked without initiating a battle. It would also help deal with the issues surrounding the town's relationships with the Pokemon in the town. Like if the town started off not having any Pokemon in it, and as you progress, that's when the town starts assimilating more and more Pokemon into its culture. Here's the problem, your starter doesn't matter. By the time it reaches its final evolution, you'll want to replace it with a much stronger Pokemon. This is because even though Pokemon share experience, so they generally remain on the same level as everyone else in the party, that level is staggeringly low compared to the power levels of everything you fight in the game. You will find stronger Pokemon in the wild, alpha Pokemon who spawn in specific areas and sort of waddle around in existential despair doing nothing else. These alpha Pokemon are almost always 10 or 20 levels higher than your current party, so it is far more efficient to just catch as many alpha Pokemon as you can and replace your original Pokemon with them, including your starter Pokemon. As I mentioned before, there are no cute minigames or ways to meaningfully interact with your Pokemon at all. I don't even think the return attack is in this game. One setback is that alphas typically won't obey you until you're at a certain research level, for whatever reason. But by the end of the game, I was high enough, blaze it, that all my Pokemon obeyed me. So why bother lugging around a weak starter Pokemon you've already seen in a previous game when you can flesh out your team with some heavy hitters? Some might say, well, it's hard to catch an alpha Pokemon, but like, not really. 4 Sticky Globs and they pass out, or you can sneak up behind them. With an Ultra Ball, they're like a 70% guaranteed catch. With a Great Ball, I'd say 45%, depending on the level. It sounds like it's not a lot, but you can reset their aggro just by running out of their detection zone and coming back, so you effectively get unlimited chances. Failing that, you can save, quit, and reload, which places you and... Can you stop calling me, dude? Jesus. Failing that, you can save, quit, and reload, which places you and the Pokemon around you in the exact same position while resetting their aggro. It even works for shiny Pokemon in my experience. You don't even have to battle them. In fact, I'd say it's better not to unless you have a Pokemon who knows a status move. So yeah, more so than ever, the starter Pokemon simply does not matter, and maybe I can't speak for everyone, but by the end of the game I really didn't care about my starter. I had already replaced my entire party. Outside the main building, you meet Volo, who is like also your rival, but like not actually. Well, yes actually, but more on that later. He engages you in the first Pokemon battle of the game. I've already spoken extensively about the battle system, so I won't go into it anymore. However, I will say that it is, thank you Kanye, very cool that the battles actually take place in the actual spaces that you are actually in, as opposed to the strange white void of the totally not unfinished Sword and Shield definitive experience. Oh, I almost forgot to mention this. When your Pokemon learns a new move, they always know it, and you can switch the moves out in the Pokemon menu. You can also evolve them at will whenever they reach the requirements for evolution. This is, like, nice, I guess. It's definitely a quality of life feature, but I don't know, I guess my problem with it is that it further makes the Pokemon themselves feel less like living, breathing entities and more like bits of code you can manipulate however you like. Anyone who owns a pet or deals with children will know this. Part of the joy of having a pet or working with kids is enjoying their own agency over their decisions and actions. It's watching them grow without your input. It's having a distinct lack of control over their behavior. It's part of the reason why I still very fondly recall my experience with The Last Guardian, despite the flaws with that game, or dealing with my horses in Red Dead 2. The lack of control can make the experience more thrilling, exciting, and memorable. But it just isn't so in Arceus. Well, not entirely. You get a bit of this in the game when you catch a Pokemon above a certain level. I mentioned before that Pokemon above a certain level won't obey you if your research level isn't high enough. It doesn't make any sense in universe, but like, whatever. It was actually kind of fun in a frustrating way when I caught this level 40 Rapidash, and despite it being my most powerful creature, I couldn't rely on it to decide any matches for me. But for the most part, the Pokemon you catch have no agency and no personality, so having another system which strips individuality from the Pokemon, despite it being objectively useful and nice, is really annoying. After your Volo battle, you finally head out into the open world. Well, not just yet. This is another tutorial. But before that, you get a beautiful sweeping view of about 16 trees. So, the draw distance is not just a technical or graphical flaw. Sure, it's distracting, but as I mentioned before, it detracts from the awe or the grandeur of the world. Since you can only see Pokemon who are directly around you, there's no distant emergent gameplay. That's a term I just completely made up, just now, and you all just went along with it. Anyway, what I mean by distant emergent gameplay is that you can't see something from a distance that looks interesting and then have it guide your self-directed adventure. Skyrim, Fallout, Elden Ring, Horizon, Red Dead, Breath of the Wild, these are all games which rely on that sense of awe to lead the player from one gameplay sequence to the next. There's no gameplay diversity in this open world. Literally, the only interesting things you find are the Pokemon of alpha or vanilla variety. Maybe shinies if you're lucky enough, but that's it. And none of them have any interesting stories to tell, or, sorry to beat a dead dick, any interesting behaviors. There's nothing else that's interesting to find, so the Pokemon have to carry all of the weight of helping the player guide their exploration. This means that only being able to see the Pokemon most immediately near you actually hinders the experience. The game tries to ameliorate this with the research tasks, but as I mentioned before, beating a dead dick and all that, the research tasks are stupid and tedious and meaningless. Nothing much to say in this tutorial. Locking on sucks, some Pokemon are aggro, some Pokemon aren't, some are little pussy-ass bitches, and everyone is just so thrilled that you know how to throw a fucking ball. You caught a Bidoof, well done! Time to find your next Pokemon, man. You guys suck. You guys suck. If you couldn't figure this out, you couldn't do what I'm doing right now. It's the easiest shit in the world. The grass doesn't move when you go through it? Come on! I thought games perfected that technology. Okay, to be fair, the grass doesn't move in Elden Ring either, but that game has so much more going for it. Can I make a prediction? I'm going to make a prediction. Not a prediction, I'm going to make an assumption based off the evidence I have so far, which is it's incomplete. However, I don't think this game was finished, but let's keep going. Also, yes, I'm right. The game is unfinished. It is incredibly clear as you go through it. One thing I will say now, if only just to get it out of the way, is that the HUD and menu interface is kinda bad. Sometimes it's really bad. Take this for instance, you shape your entire boring-ass game loop around completing research tasks for Pokemon, and in certain critical situations, it's not possible to check what research tasks you need to complete. If you're in battle, for instance, you can't pull up the Pokédex to see what you need to do for your Pokemon or the Pokemon you're battling against. And you will want to know so you don't end up wasting your time. Fuck it, we'll fuck it. Side up. Although, again, I can't see the fucking goddamn research task in the middle of a battle, so I don't know what I need to do for Psyduck. You also can't go straight to a Pokemon's research task from the Pokemon stat menu because fuck you. You have to back out, then go to the Pokédex manually searching for the Pokemon you want to see. You also can't change Pokemon moves from the stat menu. You have to back out and go to the change moves menu. Menus upon menus upon menus that, in many hours of play, never stopped being confusing and annoying. One interesting detail that's actually kind of hard to see when you're in the open world, but is definitely there, is that some Pokemon are larger or smaller than others depending on their actual size when you catch them. But there's a problem with that too. By observing the Pokemon, you can't see exactly how large or small it is, or what nature it might have, before you catch it. So for specific quests that ask for a particular size Pokemon, which I only found one, but there may be more, your only method for completing it efficiently is to catch every single type of Pokemon that you come across until you happen to catch the right size. You can try to see if one is bigger than another just from looking at it in the open world, but it's so difficult to tell. You also can't tell what moves a Pokemon might know until you catch it, which honestly makes sense, but considering the fact that I mentioned before about Pokemon's in-battle moves not translating to their open world moves, it seems particularly bullshit. Some Pokemon will even use moves in the open world that they don't actually know when you catch them. The inventory system sucks. You'll constantly be running out of space for your items, and what makes it worse is that there's this predatory asshole who will sell you one block of inventory space for a price which doubles with each purchase. So by the time you buy 5 slots, you're spending an obscene amount of money which isn't worth it at all, because you'll still be running out of space constantly. There are so many dumb things to pick up in this game, the most useless of which being wood, which I decided in my second playthrough to completely ignore. Bye-bye wood, don't need you today. The PC system also sucks. It's the same PC interface, or pasture I guess, that we've had for like over a decade now. There's still no way to jump directly to the location of a particular Pokemon. The search system's from like 1527 or some shit, and they haven't changed it or modernized it in the slightest, despite the fact that you're catching dozens upon dozens of Pokemon constantly. Why still only 30 Pokemon per box? I don't get it. So anyway, yeah. The game is ugly. I feel like they could have gone with a better style than this. It just still looks very low quality. The whole thing. I mean, look at the grass. Look at the grass, though. I don't even mean the grass that's sticking up. I mean the grass that's, like, on the ground. It's just a flat texture of grass. It looks like it's supposed to be viewed from, like, at least 50 feet away is what this is supposed to be viewed from. Silene acknowledges your achievements, I guess, and makes you a formal member of the Galaxy team, so she gifts you the ugly-ass Galaxy team uniform. So I like to make characters I really like in these games. I still fondly remember Eevee and her Eevee from Sword and Shield. Also, she's not Irish, she's Scot. That was just my own fucking stupidity on display. Sorry to all the Scottish people I offended. Or the Irish, I guess. You guys don't matter, though. Maybe this is just me, but in this game, I really couldn't come up with an outfit I liked for my character. I had a general color scheme in mind, especially for Reina in my second playthrough, but her style and Pokemon team always felt off. The former because I felt a lack of customization options, and the latter because the Pokemon don't matter. You unlock different clothes and hairstyles as you progress through the game. Some of them unlock due to specific quests. Others, I'm not really sure. I think it's story progress because it doesn't seem to be research rank. In any case, in terms of clothes, there are fewer customization options in this game than Sword and Shield. You can't equip undershirts and overshirts like in Sword and Shield. Instead, there's only one layer. You can't customize your pack like in Sword and Shield, and you can't equip gloves and socks like in Sword and Shield. There are a lot of outfits that feel like you should be able to mix and match them, but you can't. And you still can't customize the way you throw out your fucking Pokeball. This shit is pissing me off. It seems so obvious, but they just won't do it. Now, it's not necessarily bad that there's not as much customizable stuff in Arceus. It depends on the quality and game direction, right? But I really never felt good about either of my characters in Arceus. Just for context, I've played over 360 hours of Soul Calibur 6 for the PC alone, and most of that time has been creating and revising original characters. I love making characters. It's so fun, particularly because I love telling stories, so I love making characters who fit with these stories. It's why I'm still generally lukewarm on Pokemon Battle Revolution, despite its many flaws. Despite my issues with Sword and Shield, I really liked little Scottish Eevee with her overpowered Eevee. And her Pokemon team was ultimately built up out of all normal types, which I also love. But in this game, I didn't have that spark. I couldn't make a character that I actually liked. Reina got close, but still ultimately isn't a character I care too much about. After changing, you meet Captor Komodo, who wants to wrestle you. I don't know. This game has a knack for trying to make jokes that fall very flat because they suck and assume you're an idiot. Also, the animations are terrible. So then you're told that despite being the only one who can consistently catch Pokemon, also known as the entire point of the fucking Survey Corps, you're starting off with no rank. Fuck you and your fucking piece of shit research shit. But I recall her quite fondly for some reason. Research shit. You then learn how to craft items, or rather, where to go to craft items. You also get your first side quest. Finally, you can head out into the open world and complete some tedious research tasks. You also learn the most important mechanic in the game. NANI? The game still hasn't really begun. Still some tutorials to get through. You learn how to instantly open the Pokédex to the page of whatever Pokemon you're targeting. And then the game finally begins. Well, no, there's still more tutorial shit, Jesus Christ. Finally, the game opens up, and then you can start to explore it. And in these first moments, the game feels good. It's fun, despite the glaring flaws like Pokemon just disappearing when they run away, or Pokemon not making persistent sounds when they're nearby, and the fucking technical issues. But for a preview, it does its job, and a little more. Once you earn your first rank, again, despite being the only one capable of catching Pokemon like you do, you can finally progress the general plot. When you wake up, Akari pulls rank on your ass to get you to battle her. Akari sucks and doesn't matter. After the battle, you meet Zisu, who also doesn't matter, but gameplay-wise helps your Pokemon master moves or learn different moves. I barely ever spoke to her throughout the game. I thought she would be like a gym leader or something at first. But no, there aren't gym leaders in the game, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. She appears again toward the climax, and she seems like really happy about the end of the world. Heading back into the open world, you learn the secret backshots technique.
Comment below if you know what backshots are. I have no idea what those are.
When throwing an empty Pokeball from behind, you get better odds of catching the Pokemon. When throwing a Pokemon, you get a preemptive strike and better odds of getting hits off. You meet Mai, who is also forgettable and doesn't matter whatsoever. She battles you, and this is the first moment that I realized this game is actually kinda hard. This game is actually kinda hard. Am I saying that right? Am I understanding everything correctly? I'm actually kind of struggling here. When you win, she asks you to meet her to battle an Alpha Kricketot. There's a bunch of lore bullshit. Honestly, it's not worth going through as it comes up. I'll explain it all in time for the climax, but for now, you catch an Alpha Kricketot, then get introduced to one of the Pokemon Lords, who are tended to by the members of Diamond Clan and the Pearl Clan, who we'll talk about later. These Pokemon Lords are super powerful versions of new Hisuian evolutions and forms. This Lord, Weirdeer, the evolution of Stantler, gives you an elemental plate which is functionally useless until you get Arceus at the end of the game. And by then, there's nothing to do. Getting ahead of myself, so you impress Weirdeer, which is the entire extent of the personality this Pokemon ever shows. You hear from the xenophobe cook at the Wallflower that the Pokemon Kleavor was stricken by lightning and has, off-screen, mauled a bunch of Galaxy Team people. It's so bad that the Medical Corps, off-screen, is having trouble keeping up. Apparently, off-screen, Kleavor has begun to frenzy and behave erratically. The recent Pokemon games have a real problem with telling and not showing. Oh my gosh, this crazy thing just happened. It's too bad you weren't there to see it, but man, it was crazy, I'm telling you. There's no reason for this other than lack of skill or laziness. It's not like they don't have the budget. This game also has the added benefit of being an open world game. You could literally just put Kleavor in the open world and have some cool, interesting sequences where it goes around and rampages across the land in a way that the player can't yet fight back against. It would add some interesting moments of emergent gameplay where the player has to navigate past this frenzied Pokemon in order to get to his or her destination, Mr. X style. But that would require designing actually interesting AI and deep responsive gameplay scenarios. Instead, you're just told about these rampaging Pokemon, and the moment you finally see them and fight them is the only screen time and development they get. The next morning, you get introduced to Adaman and Irida, leaders of the Diamond Clan and the Pearl Clan, respectively. What did people used to call Adaman before he came of age? Attaboy. That's not even in the script. Being the leaders of the Diamond Clan and the Pearl Clan is almost the entire extent of both of their personalities. You see, Game Freak seems to think that giving a character a quirk or a gimmick is just as good as writing them a compelling personality. So Adaman is obsessed with being on time, and Irida is obsessed with, space? Like, just the physical reality of the space around her? It's really dumb. Also, what is she fucking wearing? I hate to throw an ad hominem into my biting critique of the Pokemon cinematic universe, but like, her character design is so genuinely distracting. So the Diamond Clan and the Pearl Clan have a tenuous alliance with each other and the Galaxy Team. It's implied that the two clans' relationships with each other are pretty rocky and could lead to conflict if they ever suspected the other of wrongdoing. But you don't get to see this, ever. The Diamond and Pearl clans are constantly working with each other throughout the entire game. There is never ever a single moment where it seems like conflict is about to break out between them. Bickering is not the same thing as deep-seated tribal conflict brought about by two opposing religious views. If you hadn't figured it out yet, aside from the fact that it's literally in their fucking names, Adaman worships Dialga, Irida worships... But neither of them know this. That is to say, neither of them know that Dialga or Palkia or Giratina or Arceus even exist. There's just some amorphous god figure named Almighty Sinnoh that they worship, and for some dumb reason, despite neither of them knowing anything practical or prophetical about Almighty Sinnoh, they are still adamant, no pun intended, that the other is wrong about whether Almighty Sinnoh represents space or time. If I sound bored or angry, it's because the story fucking sucks. Where are the Pokemon? One of the story's biggest pitfalls is something I've been bringing up since my Sword and Shield video. The Pokemon aren't the subject of the story. They are the object of the story, meaning they are the thing being referenced with respect to everything else, but they are not the vehicle upon which the story progresses. They have no agency, they have no stakes, and for the most part, they have no personality. We get glimpses of personality in some of the Lord cutscenes, which we see later, but even Dialga, Palkia, and Arceus and the other legendaries have very little presence in the story as a whole. It feels more like the story is happening around them, and they just show up to be the obligatory boss or just to let you catch them. The story is too human. And what I mean by that is not that it's too emotional, because it isn't at all. No, the story centers too much on the dozens of boring, poorly characterized human characters, when many of these stories and vignettes could focus solely on the Pokemon involved and be better off for it. I don't mean Mystery Dungeon here. I haven't played the Mystery Dungeon games, but my understanding of them is that everyone is a Pokemon in those games, and the story is told through talking Pokemon. What I mean is, I wish there were more contained Pokemon-centric stories like the kinds we get in the Pokemon movies. I'm not saying those stories are particularly good, but it's impossible to doubt that without those specific Pokemon doing the actions that they specifically do in those movies, the plots would simply not work. They would be incomplete. Okay, quick break. I actually decided to watch through 5 of the Pokemon movies specifically for the sake of this review, and man, oh man, these stories are so much better, for the most part. They're nonsensical, sure, but for one, they're a lot darker than the stories we get in the games.
I've reawakened her consciousness, here in this chamber.
Why are you doing this? You can't bring Amber back.
You're wrong!
I loved our daughter as much as you did, but she's gone. No one can bring her back, and I can't go on watching you try. I'm sorry. Goodbye.
And for 2, the Pokemon have so much more presence in these films than they do in the games. Like, there are entire scenes where the humans are basically doing nothing while the Pokemon just get to steal the stage, steal the screen. In Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back, the first movie, Mewtwo is cloned from a fossil of Mew and is developed to be the strongest living Pokemon. While unconscious, he's exposed to the thoughts and memories of this little girl, the cloned consciousness of the lead scientist's dead daughter. This consciousness, for some unexplained reason, fades away within like minutes, I think, and Mewtwo gets super pissed despite having just met the girl. That backstory actually weirdly doesn't matter much. Anyway, the rest of the movie is Mewtwo exacting revenge on humans for enslaving him. So he lures a bunch of trainers to this island to amass a clone army of all their powerful Pokemon.
Quiet, human. From now on, I am the one who makes the rules.
How's it talking?
It's psychic!
This scene here, when Pikachu is running for its life from all these psychic Pokeballs, is cool as shit. And it's all entirely directed by Pikachu. Or here, when Mewtwo and Mew are just duking it out. Their presence and importance to the greater experience is palpable. They aren't just last-minute blank slates heralded by some prophecy. They have personality, they have emotions, they make decisions. They are responsive to the world around them. And they hold a great deal of influence over either the narrative or the action in any given scene. Also, like, everyone swears off of fighting forever toward the end of the movie, which is so fucking funny.
Pokemon aren't meant to fight. Not like this. It's useless. What can come out of it?
Nothing but pain.
Why can't you two understand it's not right to force Pokemon to battle this way?
They're all living creatures. This just proves that fighting is wrong.
Not like this. Oh, but regular Pokemon battles are A-okay. Everyone, shut up. I just learned war is bad. At the climax of the film, Ash stupidly runs directly into the fight between Mewtwo and Mew and gets caught in their energy attacks. He gets petrified as a result, and ignoring the fact that this kind of hard-hitting emotional sequence would simply just never exist in the games, take a look at the direction here. The first character we see react to this is a Pokemon. Then, for like a straight minute, and then another gay minute, and then even longer afterwards, it's utter silence as the Pokemon swim in the raw emotional pain of this entire sequence.
The guppy. The guppy.
Aside from Ash, there are hardly even any human characters in frame, and that's because they don't matter here. The Pokemon are carrying the emotional weight of this entire moment. The Pokemon are driving the story. How Ash is revived is some total Deus Ex Machina bullshit. There's some legend about Pokemon tears being magic or some dumb shit. Feels really unearned.
The prophets have predicted the return of the winds of water. For years I have prayed that mankind would never witness that deadly storm ever again.
But just because the actual narrative is bad doesn't change the fact that I loved watching through this first movie again. It is such a refresher to see a Pokemon story where the Pokemon are the actual focus of the emotional and narrative energy. Okay, so what I'm learning is that apparently Pokemon has always done this dumb prophecy bullshit.
Disturb not the harmony of fire, ice, or lightning, lest these titans wreak destruction upon the world in which they clash.
Just write a plot that makes sense, for fuck's sake. Don't strip agency from your characters and Deus Ex Machina your way out of a hole with some dumb legend. Pokemon 2000 centers around some young billionaire trying to capture Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres in order to lure out Lugia. Like both Arceus and Sword and Shield, the film gets pretty preoccupied with these random human characters at the beginning. And weirdly, it gets preoccupied with Ash getting laid?
Then I guess you must be his girlfriend. Ah, gross! Oh, I don't think so. I'll be glad to play for him tonight at the Legend Banquet.
This girl even figures out Misty's name without Misty ever saying it. It's just the almighty power of horniness, I suppose.
Oh, and Misty, try not to get jealous.
Seeing the story center around all the humans and not the Pokemon is like watching a Star Wars story where they never visit any different planets. This dumb festival shit goes on for like several minutes, and it's weirdly a very good parallel to the story of Arceus. Some dumb legend in the background that keeps getting brought back up, and a bunch of uninteresting human characters spouting off dumb shit about their meaningless personal dramas. Finally, Pikachu's had enough of this shit and just takes the story into her own hands. Understand, this isn't like the first movie where even if the Pokemon is not taking center stage, the unique bond between a Pokemon and their trainer does take center stage. In this and Arceus, the dumb, low-stakes, poorly characterized human drama comes at the cost of the Pokemon-centric moments, or moments which highlight the unique bonds between Pokemon and their trainers. And that's bad. Why are these boring-ass humans getting so much screen time? It could be easy to forget you're even in the world with Pokemon after a while. Like, legit, there are entire sequences where we're just watching a boat transform, and I'm like, could we not have a Pokemon here doing something cool or something? It's like in Sword and Shield when instead of getting a ride Pokemon, you get a fucking bike. Okay, this movie is like really weirdly preoccupied with Ash or someone getting laid.
Oh, you'll get used to it. It's just something you're gonna need to work on when the two of you get married. Take that back!
Listen to me, kid. When you get involved with the opposite sex, you're only asking for trouble.
Yes, and that's the kind of trouble I stay out of.
I don't remember this at all. Like, a little romance is fine, even in a kid's story, I think. But aside from Elon Zuckerberg over here torturing Johto fried chicken, this B-plot of Misty being weirdly defensive about being called Ash's girlfriend.
His girlfriend's here. But I'm not. Well, like you said, you are a girl and you are his friend.
And this other girl being inexplicably obsessed with Ash is the focus of the story. It's literally the entire reason Ash decides to embark on this prophetical journey. I'm spending way too much time recapping this story, but this film, in essence, is just like the story of Arceus and of Sword and Shield. Keep in mind that Jeff Gates over here doesn't even want Zapdos, Moltres, or Articuno. He's just capturing them to get to Lugia. And like, he only wants Lugia to flesh out his Pokemon collection. He's literally a stand-in for a person who doesn't care about Pokemon beyond their aesthetic value. But then, the movie doesn't go far enough to prove that there's more to a Pokemon than its aesthetic value. They're just props for the humans to tell their stories. You go to a place, the Pokemon does its thing for a minute, then it goes away. It's not a character, it's not even a real threatening force of nature because most of the Pokemon-centric action happens off-screen. This movie is boring. I want to see the Pokemon do cool Pokemon shit. It isn't until 50 minutes into the movie, when Lugia shows up, when we finally get some straight-up Pokemon on Pokemon action, baby. The Pokemon begin having some real emotional impact. They start making decisions. Still wouldn't call them characters, but they really start...
Only the chosen one.
Oh, fuck you! There's this cool moment where Ash uses his actual Pokemon to slide across on the snow, but then that fails, so Team Rocket comes through on a fucking raft. And it's the same shit I just mentioned with the Sword and Shield bike. Why are the Pokemon getting cucked in their own universe? The heroic moment of the film is Ash putting some dumb marble in some dumb statue, and then this girl playing a song on her flute. Like, holy shit, the movie is called Pokémon, for fuck's sake. Four minutes into the third movie, even the Unown have a sense of agency and presence. Professor Hale, this Pokemon researcher, this girl Molly's father, stumbles into their lair and they whisk him away.
It's the Unown!
They then get summoned to the girl's mansion, and to help her overcome her loneliness, or some other chaotic neutral desire that the Unown themselves have, they transform her mansion into a crystal palace, the world of her dreams. You see them doing shit, making decisions, and most interestingly, working as a single unit to make these powerful illusions come about. Only the Unown are capable of doing this. The way they move and sing too gives them a personality, weirdly. I mean, these are the Unown, and they have more going for them than Arceus does in the Arceus game. The Unown then go on to summon Entei, so it's implied that Entei gets its form from the girl's understanding of what Entei would look like. Entei is a proxy through which the Unown can communicate with Molly. The Unown are trying to please the girl, and in doing so, they forge for her a guardian who also acts as her surrogate father. That is Entei's motivation throughout. Together, Entei and the Unown are major actors within the story's conflict and emotional progression.
Are you
I am hentai.
This movie also has the most poppin' intro theme of all time. Wait, take a look at Totodile here. I mean, come on! Look how lively it is. This is so cool, and the animation is fucking fantastic. Chikorita pausing before battle to nuzzle Ash. I love this opening so much. And Ash has a shiny Noctowl? What? Oh look, you can even see everyone camping out in this one. That's crazy. Wish that was in the game. At the beginning of this story, Ash isn't motivated by some dumb love triangle. They simply need to find a Pokemon Center, and it's such a good, clean motivation which then gets overwritten when they see what's become of the Greenfield Manor. Imagine wandering the open world in Arceus and you see this scene from afar. Without a doubt, you're going to explore, but suddenly you start seeing more powerful Pokemon, psychic types, rock types. Maybe in a secret chamber you find a Deoxys who's made her nest there. But you keep exploring, not guided by a quest, but out of pure curiosity. And within, you uncover a story about a girl who is kept under thrall in an illusory world forged by the Unown. You start finding them in all corners of the crystallized manor. This is their domain, and the closer you get to uncovering the mystery, the more powerful the Unown's illusions get. Reaching the inner sanctum, you find the girl and her guardian, Entei, and in a climactic battle you defeat Entei and shatter the illusion of the Unown. Tell me that wouldn't be a massively cool 2 to 4 hours of gameplay. The key is environmental storytelling and guiding the player through intrigue and fascination, and the Pokemon who exist in that crystal realm would be there for a reason. The The Unown and Entei obviously play a huge role in that particular environment, and we'd see their story fleshed out the more you explore. But the other Pokemon, say Deoxys, Steelix, maybe a Sableye here and there, and some others, we would see them interacting with the crystal environment in some unique way. Maybe they're making nests. Maybe they like to eat the crystals. Maybe you find them embedded in walls or other structures. The Pokemon interacting with this intriguing environment become the impetus for the trainer to move forward, not some dumbass research tasks. Side note, I love how Ash's mom doesn't even seem to care that Ash is there.
Hello, Pikachu! Pikachu! And Mom! Oh, hi, honey.
So Entei, acting on Molly's wishes, brainwashes Ash's mom and kidnaps her. Pikachu, of its own accord, tried to attack Entei. Wow, that was a Freudian slip if I've ever heard one. Well, look at how Ash and the others are using the Pokemon to solve environmental puzzles, rather than using a fucking boat. They even have to use their Pokemon to create an opening to breach the inside of the palace. Look at how important the Pokemon are in this Pokemon movie. Who'da thunk? I love how in the last movie, the Lugia one, Ash asked Lugia why all the Pokemon are there, and Lugia straight up like, I don't know.
Why are all those Pokemon down there?
Because they feel they must be here in case they are needed.
Most of them are here for no reason.
But what can they do to help?
They are not sure, and that is why they are here.
And they weren't there for any reason. That's the design philosophy of the video games, I think. In this one, the Pokemon are the reason anything happens at all. It's such a simple switch, and because of the setup, you can start to understand every progression of the conflict as the extension of Unown's agency.
Papa, maybe I'm not old enough to have Pokemon.
You must believe you are.
Also, Brock flirts with Molly in this battle.
A Teddy Ursa, huh? Figures a cute Pokemon trainer'd have a cute Pokemon.
But she's mentally still 5, so that's a little weird. The human aspect of the story is much better too. This movie doesn't have some dumb prophecy, and while the Unown are the ones controlling the force of nature threat, the real question becomes, poignantly, how do you defeat Molly's loneliness? It's not like her father or mother are coming back. Using the Pokemon as an important, meaningful narrative vehicle to explore Molly's heartbreak is great. It reminds me of the awesome and depressing story of Jerry from Digimon Tamers. Look at this fucking moment. Ash is plummeting towards certain death, and the big, heroic reveal is that Charizard comes to save him. Totally of its own volition. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but do you see the difference here between the games and the movies? Well, except the last movie? If this were Pokemon Arceus, you would have had to sit through 3 minutes of dialogue for some guy to tell you that a Charizard saved him. Wait, Charizard's not even in the game. I mean, the movie undercuts this a little by having Ash fall again and being saved this time by his people friends, but the ensuing battle more than makes up for that. The battles in this movie are actually really fucking cool. In the end, when Molly sees how her fantasies are hurting real people, she opts to end the illusion and start a new life with her real friends in the place of her lost family. But then the Unown lose control of their immense psychic energy. This is a running theme. Anytime someone says, we need to find a way to stop this, Ash's first instinct is to run at it head first. He's done this in all 3 movies so far, and I don't know, it just really speaks to his character, doesn't it? The final heroic moment, the denouement, it's not Ash putting some stupid stone in a statue. From start to finish, the Pokemon, and Entei and the Unown especially, were the focus of this isolated tale. Also, I was wrong. The Unown give Molly's father back. It's like a bit of a cop-out, but also, in the end, it serves as a representation of another decision that the Unown themselves have made. And the Unown aren't evil. They didn't mean harm, which is why they give Molly's father back after they regain control of their abilities. Also, Molly's mom comes back? Either that or it's like a new woman that Professor Hale is dating, but the reaction from Molly here seems to suggest that it's her actual mom. But I thought she was dead. I guess the movie never outright says she is, but it just kind of softens her return if she wasn't a character up until this point and just appears at the end out of nowhere. Anyway, this movie was great. I really liked it. It was less dumb than the first and far less frustrating than the second. But now, I would like to explore the larger socioeconomic implications of the film. Namely, if Molly were not a rich white girl, would she have been afforded the same attention and reconciliation as someone from a less favorable socioeconomic... Look at this! An entire sequence of Celebi being chased down by a Houndoom and a Scyther in the forest? Alright. And we have another fucking Pokemon Legend prophecy thing. So glad we got away from that for one movie.
Don't tell me you haven't heard about it.
No, I haven't. What's the voice of the forest?
Well, it's only a legend, but everyone around here believes it. They say there's...
This introduction with Celebi fleeing for its life is really fucking good, though. I love this. Except when a human says some dumb shit.
Could that be time traveling?
Like, yeah, yep. Glad that's her first assumption. That's the first thing. She hears a noise and sees some weird lights going on in the and it's just like, yeah, time travel. Gotta be. Celebi ends up whisking this kid Sam away to another time period in order to escape its pursuer. This story is the biggest inspiration for what I believe action-adventure Pokemon should look like, and I want to believe it served as some inspiration for Arceus as well. When I see this movie, I see a kid who loves learning more about Pokemon in their natural habitats so he can sketch them, and who winds up being entangled in a legendary Celebi's life because of hunters who want to take Celebi out. That's the entire premise of the game I pitched in my third Sword and Shield video. Ash even mentions that Sam's notebook is kind of like a handmade Pokédex.
This is like a handmade Pokédex.
But for Game Freak, they seem to just see time-traveling shenanigans and ancient prophecies and think that's the draw. Everything else they can write off as if it happened off-screen. Celebi transports itself and the kid 40 years into the future, where Team Rocket plans to find and capture the legend. You know what I'm noticing? The Pokédex doesn't show up in any of these movies. Not even sure if Ash still has the Pokédex at this point in canon. I'm sure he does, but I actually kind of like this. Even in the game I was thinking up, the catalog of Pokemon is supposed to be a tool to highlight the limits of understanding of these mystical creatures. So when you come across an Entei or a Celebi or a Suicune, the Pokédex would be narratively and functionally useless, because the whole point is that these mystical creatures are fundamentally inscrutable. In a gameplay sense, I like the idea of a trainer filling this compendium before coming across a majestic and awe-inspiring Pokemon that then becomes the object of the player's intrigue. Then, unlike with normal Pokemon, the player has to find out more about this Pokemon by exploring its unique story rather than just by observing it from afar. Oh shit, damn it.
My name's Brock and I'm studying to become a Pokemon breeder, but my specialty is human relations.
Dude, Brock, what? That is so not appropriate. He literally just said in so many words, I want to breed with you. How has he not been canceled yet? We need to cancel this man. Gamers, rise up. Sam and Celebi crash land in the future, and Sam meets up with Ash and the others. Narratively speaking, I'm not sure why at this point it was necessary for Celebi to bring Sam into the future instead of just teleporting itself. This movie's weird so far because Celebi is at the center of it, but also doesn't have much agency. It works because it's injured and can't do much right now anyway, but so far it's been a very human-focused story. This is an interesting moment where the Pokemon conspire to help Celebi by leading the humans through the dense fog to the Lake of Life. Then the Pokemon wait in communion as Celebi is healed. What follows is a great moment where Celebi just has a ton of fun. It swims in water, it flies around, it heals Misty, it eats berries, it's just enjoying its life. So far, this movie seems to be mostly about exploring the natural majesty of the Pokemon world, Suicune's Lake of Life, Celebi's joyous disposition, these Metapods evolving into Butterfree and migrating through the sky. The villain is a hunter who uses human technology to overwhelm, oppress, and transform Pokemon, violently tearing them from their natural states. It reads as a commentary on how humans hurt the natural habitats of animals. We even see these Pidgey and other Pokemon fighting back to save Celebi. The Pokemon clearly have a stake in this battle, and unlike the Lugia bullshit, the Pokemon actually do something. Celebi gets corrupted by the hunter's dark ball and begins tearing about the forest and its creatures. Then, seeing the chaos wrought by Celebi's entropic madness, Suicune comes along to save the day. While not as poignant to me as the Entei movie, I like this setup. Celebi, while not having much agency, remains central and important. Restoring Celebi to its natural state is meaningful because, despite its brevity, we've now seen how happy both Celebi and the forest as a whole are when Celebi is free. It's not like freeing the frenzied Pokémon in Pokémon Arceus. Celebi's outer shell takes on this truly disturbing shape, and we can see firsthand the destruction this corrupted Celebi is capable of. It is dumb that Celebi's very brief memories of having a little bit of fun with these two humans it just met are what causes it to start shaking off the dark impulses. It's like Celebi had no memories up until this point. Also, still no idea why Sam has to be here at all. Celebi's literally known Sam only a few minutes longer than Ash at this point. After freeing itself through sheer force of will, Celebi is broken down and on the verge of death. Suicune cleans the tainted water of the Lake of Life so they can heal Celebi, but it doesn't work. Celebi still looks like a shriveled up ball sack. Is that so funny? It's the inverse of the scene at the end of the first movie where all the Pokemon are crying over Ash's petrified body. I think it's a pretty good and natural moment to reach when exploring the relationships between people and Pokemon. But then, like, a bunch of Celebi come down from heaven and restore life to Celebi's withered corpse? I'm not even joking. Apparently, there's now a multiverse in the Pokemon universe, and that's just bullshit. Shouldn't that mean that the Celebi in this story isn't the real Celebi for this time period? Anyway, Celebi's happy again. Oh no! If only those multiverse Celebi stayed just a few seconds longer! Pikachu saves the day, Celebi saves their lives, that guy's definitely dead. Or not, but he ends up going to Pokejail, so effectively dead. But yeah, still no idea why Sam had to be in this movie. He literally didn't do anything.
It seems like it happened only yesterday.
Oh, wait, yeah, I forgot the twist in this one. Sam is Professor Oak. So, I guess it's implied that Ash is what inspired Oak to become a professor. But, like, when Sam was in the present, was Oak still there? Or did he disappear? Are there multiple Oaks in the universe? Okay, last movie. We're skipping forward up to Destiny Deoxys because I remember specifically in this movie, this epic sky-shattering battle between Deoxys and Rayquaza is the backdrop of all the action occurring in the story. And some asshole's gonna be mad at me for saying Rayquaza, fuck you. Immediately, the conflict is set up. Rayquaza versus Deoxys, who appears from this meteor. It's clear that Deoxys wants something, but Rayquaza just wants to fuck up Deoxys' shit. And aside from some reaction cuts to this sweet family over here, this movie just lets Deoxys and Rayquaza fight without interruption. We're learning a decent amount about Deoxys through simple visual storytelling. It can regenerate, it can change shape, and electronics blind it. Rayquaza pulls a "do it now, Gohan!" and evaporates the Deoxys down to its last cell. But these dumbass researchers take Deoxys' gem and bring it into civilization. Don't you idiots know this is how literally every sci-fi horror story begins? We get this little snippet of Plusle and Minun playing with some of the future tech of this city, and Munchlax takes some time to play with it as well. I like this. I like these moments a lot. This is a little weird. This whole city's established as Orwellian from the get-go. They take pictures and record the full geographical data of these children, then tell them to keep their passports on them at all times. The children have no say in this process whatsoever. It's like a little fascist, right?
Hi, I'm May, and this is my brother Max.
Hey, you're kinda cute.
Kinda?
I love that in old anime, no one can ever just be into someone without being really aggro about it. They've just met, not even trying this guy. Also, Ash has the social competence of an angry skunk. Idiotically, this totally automated system has no checks or balances, so Ash and this kid Tori get drafted into this battle by pure accident. And like all the audience is just fine with this, society would fall apart if everything operated like this. So Tori's got some PTSD from Rayquaza and Deoxys' fight, when he almost got trampled to death by Walrein. We'll explore that more later. Tori has a special friend. It's a spirit or some kind of digital energy thing brought about by Deoxys' first landing on Earth. And now Deoxys wants it back. So Brock and this other guy, whose name I forgot, get way too much screen time to harass these poor girls. But so far, I'd like to say there's been a decent balance between Pokemon-centric drama and human-centric pissing around. We get an awful lot of minutes in this movie of just a bunch of Pokemon and people having fun. Kinda makes me wish you could interact with them like this in the Arceus game, but, you know, whatever. The big human drama is just getting Tori over his fear of Pokemon, which he already basically has done. So there's not much weight there. The more pressing concern with him is what's going to happen when Deoxys gets to him. I don't mind the humans sticking around so much in this movie because there's always the looming threat of the battle between Rayquaza and Deoxys in the background. When Deoxys and Rayquaza are spotted, the city is mass evacuated, all except for Ash and his crew, naturally. Deoxys begins its onslaught, and Rayquaza is not far behind, kept only at bay by a force field covering the whole city. This turns into a straight-up horror movie. Deoxys has eyes everywhere, and literally starts lifting the kids and Pokemon away. He's a powerful threat, and Rayquaza is damn near powerless right now. Deoxys has even shut down the trainer's Pokeballs. Like, what? Does each one have like a battery or something? Is that why they cost so much? Despite them not doing much to this point, the Pokemon do undoubtedly have a big presence through the film, through the sheer amount of screen time they get. Look at this straight up horror shit. Imagine this being a couple hour long sequence in one of the games where you just have to try to escape a terrifying Pokemon. In a Deus Ex plot reveal, starting to sound like CinemaSins, Jesus, everyone finds out that Deoxys isn't a body snatcher. Rather, Deoxys is just trying to get everyone out of its way to find that gem which holds another Deoxys. Feels like that reveal came a bit out of nowhere, but alright. Now the goal is to help Deoxys so it stops accidentally terrorizing everyone. Finally, Rayquaza breaks through the force field protecting the city and gets in on the action. These two go to fucking war. In a weird way, because the movie is suddenly sympathetic to Deoxys, it turns Rayquaza into the real bad guy. If there were people in these buildings Rayquaza is destroying, they'd be dead. They do my boy Rayquaza a little dirty in this movie. He's supposed to be incredibly powerful and incredibly fast. His signature move is literally extreme speed. This is pre-Mega Evolution too, so there's no ass-pull transformation for Rayquaza in this movie. I mean, Deoxys, in his speed form, is still stronger than Rayquaza somehow. Oh, it's his attack form. I don't think his speed form really shows up here, but even so, how is Rayquaza so much slower than Deoxys' attack form? What gives? I understand this is very close quarters, so immense speed isn't necessarily useful here, but there's nothing about the visual storytelling that shows Rayquaza being overwhelmed by its own inertia. I think whoever wrote this just hates Rayquaza. Fucking Rayquazicist? That was stupid. That was dumb as hell. This is why I should stay on the script. Stay on script, never go off script. Working together, everyone manages to restore energy to the laboratory and restore the OG Deoxys. And OG Deoxys steps in to stop other Deoxys from straight up murdering Rayquaza. Hey, look at how the emotional weight of the story revolves around the Pokemon's motivations, and not just Ash putting some fucking stone in some fucking statue. Rayquaza is still plenty pissed though. The conflict causes the security bots to malfunction. This is where the story kind of loses me. Now the grand threat is a bunch of overzealous, badly designed, malfunctioning robots? Rayquaza and Deoxys are even out of the picture for the time being. Despite this threat being kind of left field and not terribly compelling, the Pokemon really are pulling their weight here. But despite all this setup, the heroic moment is still Ash putting some stupid McGovern in some stupid other thing. Anyway, Deoxys saves Tori from falling, and everyone's friends now. Rayquaza pieces out, and so do the Deoxyses. I actually prefer the epic showdown of Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby to this, but like, it was good. So that's that. If I had to rank them, I'd say Pokemon 3 at the top. Boom, S tier. Pokemon 1 just beneath. Then Pokemon 7, then Pokemon 4, with Pokemon 2 in last place. It's the one that missed the mark the most, I think. Maybe I'll watch some more in the future, but for now, let's get back to this Arceus review. So, where was I? So yeah, you meet Adaman and Irida, who both suck. I start taking on some of the requests at this point. Most of them boil down to find this Pokemon for me or complete this Pokemon's Dex entry. Some of them are more involved, featuring little stories, but none of the stories are particularly compelling. They boil down to go to this place and talk to someone, maybe talk to a few people and go to a few places, then you're done. The story is resolved, nothing changes, nothing really mattered. Back in the commander's office, Adaman and Irida are bitching to the commander about a Pokemon Lord that's gone. Wait a minute, why do they call it the space-time rift? If they know that time and space are immutably interconnected, then why the fuck have they staked their entire religious identity on arguing which one is the most important one? I know this is just a dumb semantic thing, but like, come on. They couldn't have just called it the Rift, like they do in Dragon Age Inquisition? Speaking of Dragon Age Inquisition, watch my Dragon Age Inquisition video, iCard in the top right corner, which is hopefully right there. This game has the same pitfalls. A shallow open world that lacks intrigue or grandeur, a gameplay loop so monotonous and hyper-gamified that it loses all meaningful connection with the story or the game world, disparate combat systems which don't adequately meld together, especially with the new open world setting, dumb AI, and bugs galore. At least the story and characters of Inquisition were halfway decent and memorable, though Inquisition was far more buggy, so I don't know, take your pick. Anyway, the Diamond Clan and the Pearl Clan have special wardens whose job it is to take care of several Pokemon Lords across the land. These Pokemon Lords are different from the Pokemon Nobles, which are also tended to by the wardens. Honestly, I'm a bit confused on this point. I think the Pokemon Nobles are the ones who frenzy, and the Pokemon Lords are the ones you get to use as ride Pokemon. And the Pokemon Nobles are just kinda there. The Nobles are supposed to be tasked with taking care of a certain area and keeping it safe, but like they demonstrably don't. They don't come up in the game except for right before you need to fight them. There's even one spot that just doesn't have one and hasn't had it for a while, so it's not like they're totally necessary. That one place is probably the prettiest map in the entire game, and everything's like fine, so it's not like it turns into a ravaged hellscape when the Noble's not there, so I really don't understand what their point is. It's just for like religious significance, I guess. It's not like when something goes wrong, these lords or nobles step in to stop it. You have to go out of your way to get their assistance. So trying to recap this off the top of my head, I really have no idea what their purpose is. Oh, I know, it's to fulfill the prophecy. They try to stoke some conflict where Irida expresses concern over how the Galaxy team violently stuffs Pokemon into balls, but nothing ever comes of it. There's just no payoff to any tangents they set up. If it hints at a deeper, more systemic world struggle, there's no use pulling that thread. So Kleavor is frenzying, and the Commander Komodo tells you to go out and observe Kleavor so they can all decide what to do. This is a lie. The game is lying to you. You never observe Kleavor. You go to the Grand Tree Arena, talk to some kid, warden of whatever the fuck, and then you go back and forth a bit, and then you fight Kleavor. You never observe it. The moment you finally see Kleavor is right before you have to battle it. This isn't like the Pokemon movies where the Pokemon's presence is established well before the final confrontation. No, in these games, Pokemon only show up in the 11th hour, have no sense of presence, and disappear as quickly as they showed up. So essentially, Arceus, waiting up there in space somewhere, sends out these bolts of lightning to make the Pokemon Lords frenzy for no reason. They have no idea that Arceus is behind it and basically have no proof for any of their assertions here, but by this point they've already more or less figured out the mechanics of this. So you go back to the lab and everyone decides that the best way to deal with Kleavor's frenzy is to throw food at it. You have to understand, they do this because they need something for the player to do while dodging the frenzied Pokemon during the boss battles. I remind you that this could have been solved by making the Pokemon battle not turn-based and having them take place in an action RPG setting. But because they didn't do that, they now need to come up with this totally unrelated gameplay mechanic of hurtling balls of solid food at already angry and uncontrollable Pokemon. This mechanic makes up the majority of boss battles in the game, and it's actually the most fun mechanic, but it makes no goddamn sense. Furthermore, the whole point of shaping the food into a ball is to avoid getting within harm's way of the Pokemon. Laventon basically expressly says as much. But by your own report, even Kleavor's warden, who looks after Kleavor and knows him well, cannot approach him in this state. It'd be a fool's gambit to get close enough to offer him food. We'll simply have to throw the food! Oh my god. That's this motherfucker. But you do that anyway. Every time. You are directly in harm's way of the Pokemon, in fact. None of this makes any goddamn sense. But I want to give it a pass because, as I said, this is the most fun this game has to offer. And it's like pretty good. Not Elden Ring good. A lot of movement patterns are pretty basic, the attack rhythms are very frantic and seem haphazard at times, and Palkia's a fucking joke. But this is, aside from the music, the best part of the game, easily. I just wish it wasn't so fucking stupid and involved my Pokemon in the action a little more. I also do this one quest, which pissed me the hell off so bad. It was the moment I realized that the draw distance of the game actually hinders the gameplay experience. Essentially, you need to go around the town to find 3 fucking Bidoof. I mean, the sprint limit alone makes this annoying as hell, and it's another boring quest on top of that. The Bidoof aren't in any interesting locations, doing anything cool, but beyond that, you literally can't even see the Bidoof until you're within a certain range of them, because the draw distance is ass. What? Oh, that's so fucking dumb! That's so fucking dumb. No way. You can't have a mission where you have to like go around searching for something, but it doesn't even fucking pop up until you're a certain distance away. That's why I didn't see it. I was all the way over here. Alright, first of all, it's tiny as fuck, but I was all the way over here and I didn't see it. Look at that. Look at that shit. That's so fucking stupid. I spent like 10 literal minutes trying to complete this fucking thing. Then the Bidoof get hauled off into slave labor. You finally get the Celestica flute, which you can use to summon Weirdeer and other ride Pokemon. Also, your character can just play the flute. What a coincidence. The transition between walking and using ride Pokemon is very seamless. Like, it doesn't waste any of your time. It sounds like I'm being sarcastic, but I'm serious. It's such a seamless transition. It's actually very, very good in that respect. But it's to the point where I almost wish there was more to it. Like, you don't need to go full Red Dead Redemption 2 where you have to wait for your horse to get to you, but if there was just like a tiny delay between playing the flute and calling the Pokemon so it feels a little more like the world is responding to you and not just shaping itself around you. Like in Elden Ring, the transition is pretty much the same, except there's a slight delay which makes it more impactful. You whistle, and then the spectral steed appears. Also, it just makes more sense in Elden Ring. It also gets super annoying as the game goes on because there's no radio menu or way to slow down game time while you select things. So when you have an inventory filled with several different throwable items and a full team of Pokemon and ride Pokemon that you have to navigate in real time, the constant real-time menuing gets a little overwhelming. Like, just give me a fucking radio menu instead of this linear bullshit. The amount of times I accidentally switch to the wrong ride Pokemon or throw the wrong item was so fucking annoying. Making it back to Leon, Irida is like, you gotta battle me to prove yourself. So I do. And then she's like, oh, okay, guess you Galaxy Team folks are good, actually. Then Leon summons Kleavor. would you look at that? A Pokemon actually doing something. But this is the extent of it. In all of its frenzying, it cuts down one tree. Like, did you see what Celebi did in less time? So I spoke about these battles before, but they're actually really fun. But for the most part, you're just throwing random shit at a Pokemon. You can send out a Pokemon, but all it really does is ruin the pacing. The two systems don't play off each other very well at all. And you can get through all of these boss fights without throwing out any Pokemon. It's actually probably faster if you don't. In fact, some of the later ones, I didn't throw out any Pokemon at all because I never got a chance to. But we'll get to that. Kick Kleavor's ass and it calms down, like every good animal. And that's the last you see of it. So good, so much agency, so much personality, love it. Volo is weirdly very excited about the plate you bring back. With the benefit of hindsight, I know now that this is setting up his big transformation later. But it's not a very good setup at all. It's not even subtle, it's damn near non-existent. After another trip to the Wallflower, this little girl you don't know gives you an odd keystone to find some wisps to resummon Spiritomb. Short side note about this side quest. When you finally find all the wisps, this little girl has the fucking gall to ask you what you think of her. Like, bitch, I don't even know you. This game hasn't put in the tiniest amount of effort into characterizing you. So yeah, it's another collectible to go around the world looking for, just like the Pokemon. When you get to the next area, you'll also get Unown, which are harder to find because there aren't as many of them. Now, here's a dumb thing. Breath of the Wild has a shrine finder, right? Well, first of all, the draw distance in Breath of the Wild doesn't suck, so you can actually find a lot of things on your own. But you also get an upgrade to your Sheikah Slate, allowing you to find things more easily. Pokemon doesn't have anything like that. I ended up resorting to using a guide because while this open world isn't huge, the load times, the bad draw distance, and the general monotony dissuaded me from going out and trying to find these things on my own. To be totally fair, the Unown give you little hints for where they might be hiding, but the wisps are a crapshoot, and they're only easy to see from a distance at nighttime. And unlike the Unown, the game doesn't give you any idea which ones you've already collected, at least not that I saw. So it just becomes frustrating, especially since you have to collect all 107 of these things to get the true ending, which also sucks. Heading back to Komodo, you find him speaking to Arizu, another warden. Oh god, we really need to speed through this. So you battle Akari, or Ray, because they want to prove themselves, or whatever. Then you head to the next open world area, which has more rock and poison types than the previous area. You see, there are 5 open world areas, then Jubilife Village, and another place which doesn't really matter. If you want to go to a different area than the one you're in, you need to travel back to Jubilife Village every time. At least that's as far as I could figure out. The game doesn't tell me any other way to do it. You can't just fast travel directly from one area to another for whatever reason. So by this point in the game, you unlock the second area. You can also start experiencing space-time distortions, where a specific area gets rarer and more powerful Pokemon. What the game doesn't explain very clearly is that when a distortion bubble appears, you need to wait for the distortion to actually spawn before anything interesting happens. There are many times when I'm meandering through an almost distortion, thinking I'm going to find some rare Pokemon before just giving up, because I didn't realize that it hadn't actually opened yet. You meet Caliba, who tells you more about the fucking prophecy or whatever. Volo fights you, then you talk to Caliba again and fight Ursaring, who isn't frenzied, just angry, I guess. You also meet these bandits who don't matter. It sounds like I'm being facetious and not giving this game its due, but like, nothing matters in this story, I swear. They've introduced so far like over a dozen named characters, and none of them matter. None of them matter at all. There's nothing compelling about any of them, and I was getting secondhand boredom just going through my footage again. After you beat Ursaluna's ass, that thick bussy, Caliba gives it some medicine. It wasn't really a frenzied Pokemon, but it doesn't matter. Now you can play your flute and use it as another ride Pokemon. Basically, it's the item finder. Just like the literal item finder, that's all it does. You would think something like this would take the Twilight Princess mechanic of being able to find certain scents in wolf form, but expand it to an open world setting where you can use it to find secret locations, maybe secret dens or secret areas where you can find very specific rare Pokemon or very specific interesting items that are not just random collectibles or consumables, but treasures, things you cherish and want to keep with you. Remember when games had that? Remember when games had things you liked to find and wanted to keep with you, like Elden Ring does, weirdly? Back at Kamado's place, you learn about another frenzied lord, Lilligant. You use Ursaluna to track down Arizu, who is Lilligant's warden. She and Caliba make friends, not sure how she found Arizu, but whatever. Then you can head to Lilligant. Lilligant is my favorite one. The way she moves so intentionally and gracefully instantly makes her a standout among the other lords in literally every Pokemon in the game. Her fight has a clear rhythm to it too. It is a little dumb though. Remember, she's supposed to be frenzying out of control, but still has this much control over her minute body movements like a ballerina. Unfortunately, you beat Lilligant and that's the last you see of her because the story is just so good. You head back to the Wallflower to close out the chapter. Arizu gets a job as the hairdresser, failing upward. Then Kamado takes you to Prelude Beach, the first area of the game, to show you a handful of refugees. Kamado spouts off some bullshit about how Pokemon are scary or something, and how he'll kill them if he needs to. You fight him later, by the way. You next go to the Cobalt Coastlands. This is probably the prettiest area in the game. The bar is pretty low though, honestly. Though I will say that each area does feel pretty distinct from one another, which is not something that every game can nail, so that's pretty cool. The thing about the Cobalt Coastlands is that it doesn't have a lord, so basically there's an Arcanine that used to be the lord, but it died. I can't remember how, but it doesn't matter. They want you to go there to investigate some strange, shadowy figures and ghosts, but that doesn't actually amount to anything. The game just needs an excuse to get you to the coastlands, despite there not being a frenzied lord there. So you meet this woman. Wait, no, first you need to battle Arita again. Fucking Christ. Sometimes trainers will just have another Pokemon there while you're fighting. There's no animation of them throwing out another Pokemon, and even if there were, that wouldn't be fucking fair at all now, would it? So I'm left to assume that it's just a wild Eevee that only helps their Pokemon. And that's also bullshit. They never explain this. Obviously, it's just a cheap trick to make the battles feel a little more difficult, but you're not really proving how strong you are if you need to cheat to win. Also, why don't I get to throw out 2 Pokemon ever? So you beat her and then you head to this hill where you meet Paulina, the warden with no lord. She's taking care of these Growlithe, one of whom will evolve into Arcanine. Just to be clear here, your motivation at this point is just that something strange is happening on Firespit Island. You're not like Geralt, you know. You don't just fight monsters. You're supposed to be a researcher's assistant. Meanwhile, you are single-handedly doing all of the tasks of this Galaxy Team organization. Also, there's nothing strange happening on Firespit Island. When you get there, you deal with a situation that has emerged after this conversation. So it's not like there was just something happening and you went to go investigate it. It's just like the Cleavor shit. They're just like, go investigate this thing, but there's nothing to investigate. You just end up talking to a bunch of dudes. Anyway, you speak to Iskan, who's like the worst character. He's just really scared of everything. That's his personality. You catch a Dusclops and find some other thing that doesn't matter, and he manages to summon Basculegion, who is the next ride Pokemon you unlock. Oh yeah, Paulina and Iskan have feelings for each other, and she will mention it at every possible opportunity. She just keeps saying it like she needs everyone to know, despite the fact that it's supposed to be taboo for Diamond and Pearl Clan people to date. It's like, lady, I don't care. Put sex in anything, and it immediately piques my interest, but not in this. You are so boring. Here's the dumb thing, right? When you're riding on Basculegion, you're suddenly allowed to lock on to Pokemon and throw objects. You cannot do this when riding on any other Pokemon, and there is no in-world explanation for why this is the case. The out-of-world reason for this is that they didn't bother to think of interesting ways to design the open-world mechanics around massive bodies of water. You need to be able to catch water Pokemon, right? So instead of tackling that design problem with some creative solutions, they were just like, oh yeah, you can throw balls and lock on now, but only on Basculegion. It's just so lazy. You can't even be stealthy when you're in the water. I mean, they could probably let you dive or something, but that would require more programming, a bigger world, etc., etc. You can use smoke bombs, but then the AI will just start to bug out and see you, but not see you. The bandits from before ambush you, and Gengar kidnaps one of the Growlithe. I don't know how he carried it away, but whatever. I guess the twist is that they took the wrong one. They wanted it to evolve into the Pokemon Lord for some reason, but the smaller one is actually the one that was the offspring of the previous Lord, not the bigger one. It doesn't matter. The next stop is Firespit Island. God, just fucking take me. At Firespit, you meet the bandits again. No idea why they don't do a triple battle. Then little Growlithe shows up, it evolves suddenly, then it gets struck by lightning, so you gotta fight it. Paulina and Irida have some dumb baggage with each other. Irida's like younger than Paulina, but Irida's the leader, so Paulina feels slighted, and Paulina hasn't had a lord for the longest time, so she feels a bit embarrassed about that. Guys, these characters are so fucking boring. Sure, if this was well written, well characterized, well paced, I might really care. This might be a subject of really great drama that I'm interested in and want to see through to the end. But this is Pokémon Legends Arceus, and the game tries to squeeze in all these little character relationships while doing the barest fucking minimum to make any of these people interesting in the slightest. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the Pokemon can't be the major actors pushing the story forward because at the end of the day, they represent conflict. And Game Freak, especially as they continue to break from the team bad guy formula, are proving time and again that they simply are incapable of establishing conflicts that can't just be resolved in a few minutes by a single Pokemon battle. Writing a story where the title Pokemon is the be-all and end-all requires a lot of planning and consistent raising of the stakes that may, at times, strip the player of agency. For Game Freak, the conflict has to be easy, simple to solve, and vaguely philosophical, but not too much lest we scare the poor children at home. I hate the idea that children's media can't be deep or hard-hitting. It can be, and I feel like Pokemon used to be, but part of it feels like they're just not trying anymore. So you fight Arcanine, then you get the Flame Plate, then you find out that apparently the previous Lord wasn't even actually dead. I don't care. Irida says some shit, she's doubting her leadership abilities. Here's the problem. I don't even know what the leaders of the Diamond Clan and the Pearl Clan are supposed to do. What are they trying to accomplish? Why do they need to work with Team Galactic? How did they reconcile the differences with the other clan? Why are they all so fucking boring? So you head to the Wallflower to close out another chapter. You meet another new character as you wake up the next day, and then another one. So you've got to calm Electrode next. First you fight Adaman so you can prove yourself. He does the same shit where an Eevee appears to help him. I love the laziness of this. This ghost guy, Ingo, is a relative of a character from the Battle Subway from Black and White. It's nostalgia bait. Anyway, overly long and boring story short, Melly keeps starting shit because he doesn't think you're worthy, but Ingo leads you up to a random cliffside, then he gifts you the ability to call the ride Pokemon Sneasler, who helps you scale cliffs. With Sneasler, you can get up to the area where Electrode is. You calm Electrode down, the end. Back to the wallflower, then on to the next chapter. Adaman and Irida bicker some more, then you get told to calm down Avalugg in the Icelands, the absolute ugliest biome in this entire game. Cylene gets scared of a wormhole. Yay, character development. Woohoo. Also, this pisses me off. So Avalugg is frenzying, again, like all the other lords, completely off screen where you cannot see it, but it hasn't hurt anyone that we know of. So Laventon's like, maybe we should just leave it alone. Is it really right to storm in there like the United States and play world police? The answer is no, it's not. Also, he doesn't say that last part, especially when we don't even understand what frenzying really is. This isn't like the Celebi movie where some evil dude caused the Celebi to rampage, or like the Entei and Deoxys movies where there was a greater good to uphold by stopping the conflict. This is some Pokemon we don't know in some rabid state we don't understand doing things in a place we haven't been to yet. But here's where I want to double back to the ludonarrative dissonance point I hinted at before. Summarized succinctly, and dare I say, beautifully eloquently. This is the most unethical Pokemon game. Just by far. Easily the most unethical one. I learned some time into my second playthrough, around the time of my soul-crushing grind to get from rank 9 to rank 10, the best way to rank up and make money in this game is to throw mud and sticky globs at Pokemon to knock them out, then catch them while they're unconscious. Remember, our stated goal in this game is to observe Pokemon in their natural habitats, and learn as much about them as we can, occasionally helping them along the way. But a majority of the gameplay loop is designed around terrorizing these Pokemon, throwing shit at them, and intentionally hitting them with their weaknesses over and over before catching them to strip them away from their homes and families and have them either waste away in a pasture or do manual labor for the humans. This is bad.
You could never be our equal.
Humans may have created me, but they will never enslave me.
There's a Folding Ideas video where Dan Olson half-jokingly recounts a time where the gameplay systems of Minecraft encouraged him to kidnap villagers and transport them across the world to work and live in, shall we say, a new world where he was in control. While not as severe as Dan's experience of literally kidnapping humans and removing them from their homes, I mean, is what we're doing in Pokemon Arceus much different? These Pokemon are just going about their lives. Most of them aren't even aggressive, and if they are, it's just because we're encroaching on their territory. I mean, we're not, because the Pokemon don't have actual homes or shelters, but we're encroaching on the place that they spawned. So we hit them with Thunderbolt and Earth Powers and Stealth Rocks, or we just hurl mud and shit and stuff them into Pokeballs and bring them into, well, let's just call it the New World. Unlike Colosseum or XD, these Pokemon haven't been turned evil. Even the frenzy is something we don't really understand. For all we know, it could be part of some totally natural process that's ultimately beneficial for the Pokemon and their environment. We're not conservationists. It would be really cool if there were some kind of conservation minigame where your role is to set up the facility to best suit the needs and habitat of the Pokemon you've caught, and encourage that Pokemon breed to keep the species alive. It would help justify all the heinous shit we do in this game. How many Pokemon go on to just straight up die after we've knocked them out in battle? How many mothers have we separated from their babies? How many Pokemon have we crippled within an inch of their lives to the point where they experience PTSD every time they even see a human? But okay, why does Arceus have more ludonarrative dissonance than all these other games? It's because this is the first time you get to see the mechanics in full 3D of what it's like to catch a Pokemon. It's no longer obfuscated by the gameplay. I can go there, see a Pokemon flee for its life, throw mud at it to knock it unconscious, then I thieve it away. I am the bad guy here. It's the end result of creating gameplay motivations like the research tasks that are so abstract as to lose all meaning. It's the Dragon Age Inquisition problem. Everything is meaningless when it's just a part of a checklist or an experience bar. Even that directive from Arceus, seek out all Pokemon, it's Pokemon Go on steroids. It reduces the Pokemon to mere representations of points, which the player needs to collect. The Pokemon themselves don't matter, just the points you get from them. My conservation idea only really works if you take away the mindless grind of harassing and catching every Pokemon you see. For the conservation gameplay to have any real weight, each capture has to feel important and meaningful for its own sake. But even if we drop the conservation idea, this is a good point for the game to set up the idea that maybe what you're doing isn't a good thing. Maybe, in the name of research, we've been terrorizing these creatures, and the final act of the game can explore that realization and self-reflection. Or we can just do it like we have it here. Levinton can bring it up, then completely drop the idea hours later, as if everything we're doing is completely justified. Yep, let's go with that one, Game Freak. So you battle Akari or Ray, and then head to the ugly place to quell another lord you know nothing about. So you get to this giant ice nipple in the middle of the map and meet two new characters, Gyrick and Sabi. Gyrick, wannabe Wim Hof, is Avalug's warden. He grills you a bit with the ethical bullshit that never goes anywhere, then he tells you to battle him to prove yourself. Then, like, he's totally fine with you messing with the Pokemon Lord all of a sudden. So then you meet Sabi, who's the warden of this braviary. Her design's cute, but she's so fucking annoying. Her character, if you can call it that, is asking dumb, meaningless, open-ended questions and pretending like she's psychic. Like, why even bother having this many characters in your game if you've already run out of ideas for how to flesh them out? Eventually she flies to the Temple of Sinnoh up on this big-ass mountain. Make it up to the top and you find a Gallade with so much social anxiety that it doesn't just wallflower, it becomes a part of the wall. Oh, it's just stuck there. Okay. I thought that was like a special thing it was doing. Can I get behind you? Not in a sexual way, but in just like I want to catch you kind of way? I don't know. I don't think your pathfinding is supposed to do that. Yeah, there's so many. Are you fucking kidding me? There's so many. What the? You're seeing this, right? I'm not just making this up. Like, you are seeing this too. This is not just me. I'm not just making up what's happening here. This is a thing that's happening, and then we're just gonna have to deal with it. We're just dealing with this event that's happening to us, to the community, to the universe. This event is happening to the universe. Then Sabi tells you to battle her, to prove yourself. She throws out 3 Pokemon at the same time against your 1. To be fair, this is the only time where the game actually says that she's going to be doing this and it's not just some random Pokemon showing up, but also, she just gets to cheat? Beat Sabi and then you head upstairs to fight Braviary so you can prove yourself, for fuck's sake. Sabi makes a weird joke about jumping off the roof of the temple. Like, I like dark humor, but what? So then you unlock Braviary, who was a little underwhelming. Like, it doesn't actually fly, it glides. I'm gonna say it, Oras did it better. The animation for getting on Mega Latias was cool as shit. It always felt epic, and you could actually fly. Obviously, it's just a representation of the world and not the actual world, but it served its purpose and felt awesome. In this game, you can't fly, only glide, which is dumb. Also, the world looks mega ugly. So you get some eternal ice, which you need to confront Avalug. My question is, this guy has been training in this hellscape for ages now. He's the most physically fit person we've seen. Why doesn't he throw shit at the Avalug instead of this 15-year-old? Has actually no one ever accurately threw a ball except for me? This is so stupid. Calm Avalug by throwing a bunch of shit at it. Irida has some kind of arc, I guess, and then suddenly everyone thinks the space-time rift is going to close for some reason. And suddenly Adaman and Irida make out. There's like this 20-minute long sex scene between them, and the professor's like just watching from a distance. Super weird. Rest up at the Wallflower and Akari, or Ray, and the professor are realizing that once the rift closes, you'll just be stuck there. Like, they've spent absolutely no time making any effort to getting you back home, all the while putting you directly in harm's way to exploit your apparently superhuman ability to throw a fucking ball really good. The next morning, oh no! Who turned on the graphics settings? Kamado gets mad and immediately assumes you're to blame for this. Then with the exception of a few people, pretty much the entire village just lets Kamado kick you out of the town, despite everything you've done for them. No conscientious objectors.
Shame. Shame. Shame.
Why won't you look at me? Why won't you look at me? Look at me. Oh, she's looking at me. Oh. Okay. You can literally risk your life legitimizing our entire organization, but because this one guy, a dictator, is suspicious of you, you've gotta go. Completely left field, 9th inning twist, and you've just gotta go with it.
Son, you've got a way to fall.
The fun thing about this whole sequence is that not even the Diamond or Pearl Clan people will give you a place to stay. They're all like, I don't know how to help you. Absolute fuck herders. You ultimately meet up with Volo, who decides to introduce you to yet another new character. In another game, they might be like, oh, you gotta find a place to go back to. And then, like, the players would be like, oh, I remember this specific spot. And then they would go back there, and then it just kind of tells the story through gameplay. Here, they're like, no, here's just this new place that you've never been to before. She's kind of hot. She's kind of sexy. I kind of want this. Some Rule 34? I might have to end this stream early, guys. Do a little bit of research. You know what I mean? This woman is Mistress Kogita. What does she do? She tells you that space and time are inseparable, because of course they are. Apparently everyone already knows that, which is why they call it the space-time rift. Also, apparently they are separable because they're controlled by two separate Pokemon, but whatever. She tells you to go find Mesprit, Azelf, and Uxie, who, like all the other Pokemon in the game, have not been characterized or developed or even introduced up until this point. She also relentlessly savages Volo for a reason, even after beating the game twice and catching Arceus, I have not figured out. How nonchalant you sound. How confident of the successes to which you contribute nothing. Yo, you tag along only for the chance to gawk at more ancient ruins. Oh shit. She is fucking going in on him, and he doesn't even have a response. Silene sends you a message saying you can still rest in the tents in the open world. Great. Awesome. Glad we can still do that. You then get the choice to either have Irida or Adaman help you. They don't help you. They just follow you around and talk at you, like always, but it affects which one gets to hear the ass-pull voice of God and which legendary, Palkia or Dialga respectively, you fight first. When you show up to the lakes, each spirit makes you do something stupid. Mesprit just asks you a bunch of open-ended questions. Do you want to return to Mistress Kogita's home? Sure, I guess. Perfect! I'd like to see what she thinks of our progress. We did one thing. It took 10 minutes, and most of that 10 minutes was me getting beer. Uxie gives you a Pokemon trivia question? What the fuck? And Azelf glitches out, apparently. Is this supposed to be happening? No way! Beating each one gives you an envelope? What is this, like a letter of recommendation? To whom it may concern, I hereby wholeheartedly recommend, insert character name here, for the position of Savior of the World with Hisui Corporation LLC. I have spent a total of 5 minutes with, insert character name here, and in that time, he or she has answered one question. You will find no greater candidate than this person. Please contact me via Phone if you have any further questions. So you get the letters of recommendation or whatever, and then head to these old statues, and suddenly Azelf, Mesprit, and Uxie, for no reason, just appear before you to forge this red chain that you need to tame the Pokemon in the Rift. It's great storytelling when the characters go around the world to collect a thing, and then they're like, wait, now that we have all this stuff, how do we do the thing that we need to do? Then some mystical beings that you just met, like literally 5 minutes ago, appear, again out of nowhere, to give you the MacGuffin that you needed. Then they just fuck off again. It's like the writers didn't even bother. So we find out Kamado's going to Mount Coronet to close the rift himself. So you head back to the village where Silene gives you another mission. Stop Kamado up at Mount Coronet. Also, now that you found the dumbass red chain, which no one even knows what it does, everyone in the village is totally cool with you now. So you head up the mountain and head into a cave where you meet the cook from the Wallflower, who's like a ninja? He's been a ninja this whole time. I'm sure someone thought this was clever. Also, look how bad the lighting is. It completely breaks the textures on literally the guy who in this outfit only appears in this cave, and on my character and on my Pokemon. The cave lighting is one of the clearest examples I have of how unfinished this game is. That straight black looks really weird. It's like there's no texture there. It's like they just forgot to texture it. I love how I don't look like I'm ready for a final battle at all. Oh wait, it's my armor too! Oh, what happened? Is it just the lighting? You do think he has one of the best clothes designs in the game? Yeah, the rest of his clothes look fine. It looks great. I love the ninja. But why is the lighting so bad in this one area that all the armor looks... I'm getting all the worst glitches. How do you let this slide? It looks hideous. No one cared. Leave the cave and, oh boy, look who forgot to hide the shadow texture that they used to cover the cave entrance. Jesus Christ, this is embarrassing. Irida and Adamant talk at you a bit more, and then you head up to fight Commodore. Oh god, they turned down the graphic settings again! Someone stop this madman! Beat him and you can head up to the summit. All is forgiven, by the way. Never mind that this guy just literally kicked you out to the wild and turned the whole village against you. Suddenly, whoever you choose, Irida or Adamant, starts hearing the voice of Palkia or Dialga respectively. It doesn't get explained. Then either Palkia or Dialga appears, the red chain fails and shatters immediately, and then you fight the legend. In a regular stop-and-go Pokemon battle for some reason. The person you chose continues to hear voices, again, never explained, then the opposing legendary just appears out of nowhere. It's so silly how they appear one after the other like this, like the game realized the credits were about to roll and had to wrap up all the lingering threads as soon as possible. Nothing has been building up to this point whatsoever. They could have replaced Dialga and Palkia with like any other legendary and the story would make just as much sense and hold just as much weight. So they regroup, and because Adamant or Irida can now speak to spirits, they immediately get the answer for how to deal with this second legendary. You go to some random cave, fight the bandits from before, get a stone, another MacGuffin. Laventon uses the stone to make an origin ball, which he says will enable you to catch the second legendary. You didn't need it for the first legendary, or indeed any other legendaries in the game, so I don't know why this ball will help. Also, there's no way he could possibly know that this ball will help catch Dialga, because nothing like this has ever happened before, and we literally, hours ago, didn't even know what the red chain or origin stones even were. We didn't even know that Dialga existed. It has just now shown up for the first time in our lived experiences. Also, I thought the issue was that we didn't have the power to battle Dialga at all. They're just making this shit up as they go along. Suddenly, Irida or Adamant can talk to ghosts and everyone's just like, totally makes sense. Also, you need to bring the first legendary with you to battle the second, but that doesn't actually matter at all because you battle the second legendary with the action RPG system. The two systems, again, don't really play off each other well. The first legendary shows up in the cutscene, but then it just disappears. There's actually no real telling what it did at all, if it even contributed. And holy fuck, that's ugly! What did they do? Palkia's even worse? Looking at Palkia makes me actually feel gross inside. Look at it. It's gross. It's so gross. I don't like it. Why does it look like that? Look at this. Look at it. Look at it. Oh, it's walking. Oh, don't walk. Don't walk. There's no need for that. This is awful. Who designed this? They deserve to be thrown in prison immediately. The game also randomly gives you time bombs or space bombs, which were never established. It'd make a lot more sense if I could throw out my Pokemon here, you know, and move around the arena with them. In my experience battling Palkia, Dialga, and Arceus, I didn't have to throw out any of my Pokemon. What I mean is, literally, I never got the chance to. Not that I was just so good I didn't have to throw them out, but the Pokemon never presented an opportunity for me to throw out my team. and it just feels kind of weird at the most climactic of battles, you don't even get to use your Pokemon. And what's worse is I'm still some 15-year-old kid. There are like half a dozen people just sitting back watching me throw fucking time bombs at this monstrosity. Again, these battles are fun, but there are really no stakes when neither Dialga nor Palkia have had any development up till now. Even Arceus, you know, the Pokemon this game is named after, isn't present for any of this. Defeat Dialga and you throw the Origin Ball to catch it, whoop-de-doo, another legendary has come and gone. The day is saved, everyone's happy, the end, credits roll. You get a still fucking image of everyone at a festival, but it's not even your character at the festival. My character has white hair, or red in Reina's case. Also, why can't I unlock that kimono as an outfit in the game? I hate when games show me shit that I can't unlock. Also, why don't I get to see the festival? After all that shit, then Arceus calls you again and tells you to seek out all Pokemon. Fucking asshole. Oh, hey Arceus, I just finished my adventure. Look, Arceus, I told you not to call me anymore. Alright, here's the major problem with the post-game of Pokémon Legends Arceus. You need to catch every single Pokémon in order to get Arceus. That means that by the time you've caught every Pokémon, you've already exhausted everything this meager gameplay loop has to offer. Once you get Arceus, there's nothing to do with him. They center this entire gameplay loop and motivation structure around this meaningless grind, which makes me not even want to engage with it once I've done what I needed to do. There's a reason why you should never shape your narrative around completionists. The completionist urge is the final test of patience and perseverance for a player that is truly dedicated or just loves your game experience. It's like speedrunning, it isn't for the faint of heart. So organizing your entire game around the monotonous grind of being a completionist is silly and lazy. It's like admitting you have nothing else to compel your players to explore the world. So there are 240 Pokemon in this game, including Arceus. 242 if you happen to have Pokemon Sword and Shield and Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl data on your account. Also note that some Pokemon don't appear all the time. Some of them you can only get by evolving, and some of them you can only get in the dimensional field rifts or whatever they're called. And then there are the Unown. I'm pretty sure you have to get all of them because otherwise what else is the point of getting all of them? And there are Wisps which help you get Spiritomb. There's also another Spiritomb in the game at some point which is confusing from a lore standpoint. There are also the legendaries. Having data from Sword and Shield allows you to get Shaman. Here's how that plays out. Some random girl, whose name I forgot, tells you to find some flower field where a shaman saved her as a kid. You don't get to see this or experience it for yourself. You find the field, but it's all withered away with age. Then the field magically sprouts back to life minutes later, and Shaman appears and just stands there. So, like, yeah, that's not going to harm the natural landscape at all. To catch Manaphy and its offspring Fione, you need to bring 2 specific Pokemon to a very specific place at a specific time of day. I had to look this up. I don't know where in the game it was even hinted that any of this was necessary. It reminds me a bit of how obtuse it was in Sapphire and Ruby to catch the Regis, but with how annoying the rest of the experience was, I couldn't appreciate this as much. It would be different if it was some esoteric thing and I had to figure it out on my own in a game where I didn't have to catch every Pokemon. When you find Mesprit and the Fione, sounds like a band name, they're just standing there in the cave and they attack you immediately. Like, clearly they don't want you to be there, but you're gonna barrel through their shit and catch those motherfuckers. This is not in the script, but I just remembered this. There's no breeding mechanic in this game. Normally, you would get a Fione by breeding a Mesprit with like a Ditto or something. But There's no breeding in this game, so they had to think of another scenario to get Fiona in there. And they don't explain it. There's no story involved. You just go to the cave and it's there. Well, no, you have to go through some other steps first. That's not really a story. That's just some random things that happen. Then they're in the cave suddenly. Azelf, Mesprit, and Uxie stand around in their respective caves. Heatran at the volcano on Firespit and Regigigas at the Temple of Sinnoh. No storylines, no build-up, you get the drill. I also found it's incredibly easy to catch these legendaries the same way as every other Pokemon. That is to chuck mud and filth at it until it passes out. You can't do that with Regigigas though, because for some reason you can only engage with Regigigas in turn-based battle. I don't know why the game suddenly decides some Pokemon you can only turn-based battle and other Pokemon you can do both. I don't get it. In the meantime, you're also collecting the elemental plates around the world, mostly from battling and talking to random people, like Kogita here, who makes you go find 3 pieces of fucking wood? Bye-bye, wood. Don't need you today. The one consumable you can't buy that I've been ignoring all game? So I find the 3 pieces of wood. Turns out it was pointless because Kogita's just been using one of the plates as a cutting board the entire time. I hate you. Once you get all the plates, turns out Volo's evil. Apparently he's the reason the space-time rift was torn open in the first place. He summoned Giratina somehow and wanted to use it to meet Arceus, but it didn't work. He fancies himself some kind of chosen one, you see. And apparently Kogita didn't know what this is all about, which makes it more confusing as to why she ruthlessly dogged him so much before all this went down. That's the spirit. I'll come and watch this historic moment unfold too. Watch? Is that all you really do? Remember, once you've sought the third lake and found what's needed for the red chain, make for its shrouded ruins. Yo, why is she dogging on Volo so much? What I love is the amount of care placed into putting little hints here and there, making this 11th hour, no, like 13th hour twist feel so satisfying. But despite how stupid this is, Volo's costume does look kinda cool, and his battle theme is Cynthia's pre-battle music, which sounds so good. He wants to use Arceus' power to create a new world, never been done before, breaking new ground here in storytelling. I must say though, you battle him and then Giratina shows up with 2 fucking phases, something that they literally haven't done in the entirety of this game so far. And this gauntlet of battles is actually really cool. Not being sardonic, not being sarcastic, this is a cool moment. This is the game playing to its strengths, and with the turn-based system no less. It's a real challenging fight, and I don't know, even Volo's stupidity didn't stop it being a really cool moment. This is probably the coolest moment in the post-game, even cooler than the Arceus fight, I would say. Again, there was no real build-up to Giratina's story whatsoever, but I don't know, broken clocks and all that. I wasn't prepared for such an epic fight, and the music definitely carried a lot of the weight. Also, Giratina spams Shadow Force, which is not only super strong, but makes it very difficult to land attacks for a few turns. All in all, really challenging, really cool. You can't even catch it, so like, this is just a legit boss fight. You just have to survive. Why not shape the entire story around Giratina's rebellion against Arceus? It's set up like a Luciferian tale about rebellion against God, so why not go full Paradise Lost with this thing? Why have this dumb bullshit about Lord Pokemon and Wardens and god damn it, they missed the mark. Defeat Giratina and it runs away like a little bitch, then your Celestica flute transforms so you can actually catch Arceus, who, I remind you, has barely been in the game or story up to this point. But you can't catch Arceus yet. You still need to seek out all Pokemon. Go to Turnback Cave and you can catch Giratina. It's just floating there in the cave. It's not like resting or anything, just waiting there. I accidentally defeated it my first time. I expected it to be as strong as the first battle with it. So I reload and catch it the second time. The whole sequence just doesn't have the same impact this time around. Also, I guess I didn't need an Origin Ball for this one. The only thing left is to catch Landorus, Tornadus, and Thundurus, who suck. They don't even roam around the open world. Like, that would have been annoying since I was so sick of the game by this point, but like, it would have been a little cool. Two of them, Tornadus and Thundurus, appear during certain weather events, but I thought the storms would be fiercer than anything we've seen before. I don't think they are. I might be wrong about this one. But there's no implication that these Pokemon are causing the storms. I thought this would be something akin to the giant Goron in Majora's Mask, where it's revealed that these giant Pokemon are causing these supermassive storms. But no. For one, they're tiny. For two, when you get close to them, they run around frantically to the point where it almost looks like they're glitching around and spawn these tiny but incredibly annoying tornadoes that sometimes spawn right on you. I hated this. I hated catching these guys. It sucked. Finally, after getting all the Pokemon... Wait, there's one more? No, fuck. Turns out there's another one of these guys. Look, I don't even like these goddamn legendaries. They appeared in Black and White, and that game already had too many legendaries to begin with, and like, most of them are boring and terrible and look dumb. So now there's a fourth one of these? Enamorous? God of that sweet love-making action, baby. Hell yeah. Also annoying is that Kokita's all like, you gotta go find it. Meanwhile, it shows up like right there, right next to her. Why is she making me do this? Why is Game Freak making me do this? Seek out all the Pokemon, then head to the Spear Pillar and play the Azure Flute. The game actually does something different. I love how the tone of the flute is exactly the same. I wouldn't normally... Oh, wait, it's not. Oh, shit. I'm actually... Okay, I gotta eat crow on that one. I was not expecting them to do something different. And part of me really likes this. I remember in Diamond and Pearl spending hours using the tweaking glitch trying to find the Spear Pillar because Nintendo and Game Freak never actually released Arceus in Diamond and Pearl. It was there in the code, everyone knew it was there, but you couldn't actually get it through the in-game event because it was impossible, even through glitching. So I'm, at this point, happy. They're finally exploring that lore in a cool and meaningful way. A decade later, maybe more than that. I can't remember when Diamond and Pearl came out. And then you find Arceus just standing there, doing absolutely nothing. No preamble, no explanation, no epic cutscene, just a battle. Arceus is pretty tough. Part of the difficulty is a lack of clear telegraphs, especially for your first time playthrough. It's hard to gauge the timing of a move you're seeing for the first time, but making smart use of the continue system, I make it through. Didn't even get to use any of my Pokemon. And yeah, Arceus just continues to stand there. Spouts some dumb shit that doesn't explain anything, just that he's happy you're so strong and found all the Pokemon. Then he gives you a piece of himself, meaning you don't even get to catch him, he just gives you himself. I bestow my blessing. I don't want your blessing, I want to catch you, bitch! And that's it. No interesting cutscenes, no second phase, you just have Arceus. You now just have God. And no one cares. Laventon doesn't care. He only cares that you've completed the Pokédex. Look at God. This is God. This is actual God. I literally have God. So, here you go, I guess. And I only get 100 points. I get 200 points for catching God. Laventon announces to everyone that the Pokédex is finally complete. You get a shiny charm. And then you get a black screen and a text box saying that everyone had a celebration. Wish we could have seen it. Then Ray or Akari approaches you the next day to tell you that you should just keep playing the game. What a fucking underwhelming load of piss. I've already explained why encouraging me to keep playing the game after I've already caught every Pokemon because you made me is stupid. But there's a major issue with this ending beyond the fact that it was entirely underwhelming. The issue is that Laventon has no fucking clue if the dex is complete or not. He doesn't know how many Pokemon there are. This scene is a lie. We literally didn't even know about God until I found it, so bullshit the Pokédex is complete. There's a second issue too, which is that no one else was working to complete this thing. There's an entire wing of an organization dedicated to researching Pokemon, and they literally never once contribute to completing the Pokédex. What if, randomly, maybe during these super cool wallflower debriefs, Akari or Ray would be like, hey, I found some info about this one Pokemon, here you go. But that doesn't work in this game, specifically because of the way observing Pokemon has been reduced to a meaningless abstraction. There's no real connection between the story and filling the research tasks. Game Freak didn't bother making it worthwhile or meaningful to fill the research tasks. It's just something for the player to do to compel them to play the game and keep progressing it, so it wouldn't make sense for any other characters to have a role in that process. At the end of the day, this entire experience has been utterly and truly meaningless. I just want Garchomp to love me. I mean, I don't care if it loves me, but it would make my life... I already maxed out most pass, didn't I? Wow, you guys are real... You're doing this in public right now? Here? You're getting a nose job, if you know what I mean. Oh man, you guys, get a room. Oh wow, that's pretty sick, guys. I can't even believe you're doing this right now. Is Pokemon Arceus fun? Sure, it's fun. Is it a step in the right direction? Maybe not a whole step, maybe a glance in the right direction. But the further we continue to ignore its incredible pitfalls, monotonous gameplay, shallow storylines, boring characters, and awful technical state, the more we encourage Game Freak never to change, never to get better, never to develop the Pokemon experience that we truly deserve, where the Pokemon themselves are the agents of their own story and you, as a trainer, truly feel a part of this grand world. Pokémon Legends Arceus is a game that sees the successes of so many titles: Breath of the Wild, Death Stranding, Witcher 3, Red Dead Redemption 2, God of War, Metal Gear Solid 5, Horizon Zero Dawn, and tries to share the same space as them without building on their strengths or addressing their weaknesses. It's like the entire last decade of open world games has ceased to exist, and to see them getting praised and congratulated for that, for making the most bare minimum effort, is truly frustrating and disheartening. As a creator myself, I'm disappointed. It may not be the worst game ever or even below average. I stand by my evaluation that it's slightly above average for a Pokemon game, but all of its issues bring me back to that problem I mentioned at the start. Do they not care, or is this just the best they can do? But I don't know. As I wrote this, there was a Pokemon Direct announcing Scarlet and Velvet versions coming out this year, 2022. The trailer doesn't show us anything, except 3 starters and some sweeping shots with shitty frame rates. And everyone loses their minds and starts pre-ordering right away. They haven't learned a thing. They won't change a thing, and I'm having trouble keeping up with the bullshit. I haven't even played Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, but I think it would serve us well to look past all the cute characters and nostalgia to find and point out the issues which crop up again and again and again. While making this video, I've also been working on my own game, In Dreams, for PS4. It isn't much, and it isn't complete. I'm also not a full AAA team under the Nintendo umbrella, controlling one of the most profitable IPs in human history. Obviously, this little vertical slice thing is nowhere near complete, but the focus I wanted to explore is, what if you're a Pokemon researcher whose whole purpose is to go out there and research Pokemon, learn more about them. You actually level up your own character by literally observing the Pokemon doing specific things. The character will have a journal that gets updated every time they see a Pokemon doing a specific action, like sleeping, or eating a certain food, or being next to something that scares the Pokemon. And in that way, those observations actually inform your understanding of the Pokemon within the gameplay itself. The story would revolve around this researcher going out and finding more Pokemon. All the while, this evil team is going around capturing Pokemon, poaching them, trying to sell them for money. And you end up getting swept into this huge conspiracy while your ultimate goal remains to take care of Pokemon and to want them to exist in their own unique environments. But this is just another one of my many, many ideas, and I've got many more to come if you'll stick around for them. Thanks, guys, for waiting this long for another video. I also wanted to thank Torian for being my first ever donator. I super mega appreciate it. And yeah, I hope there are more to come. I hope I can keep doing this forever. I'd like to create more stuff and just put more of myself out there. So thanks, guys, for watching. Have a good one. Remember, like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and take care. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.